Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series. Welcome back, ghouls, gays, and everybody in between. We are here for the fourth Harry Potter film directed by Mike Newell. And I really can't wait to talk about this because I have thoughts. Thoughts that I have need to be expressed.
I was right when I said that this movie, when I thought this was going to be my least favorite movie, that has been confirmed now.
Yeah, and that's without even recently rewatching 5, 6, 7, 8. So
right.
Lot.
I remember when I first saw this movie in theaters, like I remember liking it fine. I do remember even then thinking, oh my God, there's so much not in this.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that was added, I don't think was worth removing things that actually happened in the book. Hot take.
Yeah, I think when we started this book, I think I said something about how this movie is really maybe I'll go back and try to find the clip, but I think I'm like, this movie's really good because it like really does pacing well.
That's what
and
you
I really
said?
think it gets a lot of the it doesn't really sacrifice too much because everything that's really important is kept in, and
now you're like
extraneous cut out. Girl, I was wrong. I'm here to admit it, and it's important to admit your faults.
It's important to admit it when you're wrong. Call yourself out before someone else does.
For real.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into it.
So we're gonna do this a little bit weird. We know we're gonna go long. We always go long, and we break it into 2 parts. So we're gonna be purposeful about where we stop. So here's what I'm gonna say. Ari, this week we watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, directed by Mike Newell, which came out in 2005, and we will be discussing up to the Yule Ball, end of the Yule Ball.
Correct.
What happens in this movie?
Up until the Yule Ball. Okay, hold on. After having a nightmare and witnessing a riot at the Quidditch World Cup, Harry Potter is forced to compete in the Triwizard Tournament, where we see him complete one task and then have to ask someone to the Yule Ball.
That's it.
Pretty good.
That's it.
Right? That's pretty accurate.
This movie is 2.5 hours, and I at an hour 15, I was like, "What sequence are we in?" Where it seems like the end, because this will be halfway through, and it was like the middle of the Yule Ball. So I was like, "Okay, great."
I was convinced.
So that's officially halfway through.
I mean, obviously, I was like, I watched it today, so I think. Now, I probably should have tried to watch it on an actual different day, but I mean, it's all fresh, so I'm glad that we're doing it right now for that reason. But the film, I kept thinking, I was like, wait, how much do we have left? I was like, there's so much that we haven't gotten to yet. I just kept thinking, hold on, we're only at we haven't even gotten to the second task yet, because it's Yule Ball, then second task, then third task, correct? In the book. I was just like, oh, whoa. So it just felt really long to me. And I've never felt that way. I think it's different if you're taking notes and getting ready to analyze it, of course. I would watch this movie any other time and would never be like,
correct.
When is it gonna finish?
You're analyzing this film.
Yeah.
This movie somehow does seem very long, and I felt like I was sprinting through the story.
Oh, at the same time.
Crazy. It was crazy.
Isn't that what I texted you? Hold on. What did I text you? I was like, the first text I sent you, I just said, I cannot wait to talk about this. LOL. What is happening? And then I said later, how does this movie feel so long still? It's still going. And then you said every scene is 6.5 seconds. I was like,
it's
like how
nuts.
how is it both? How is every scene like feel like it's like milliseconds long, but then you're also like, wait, we haven't even gotten to the second task yet?
Yeah.
I'm so confused about this movie.
Literally every scene in this film, and I'm not kidding when I say this, up until the maze, every scene is like 5 sentences. And then we move to the next scene. And then there's an establishing shot, and we've moved to the next scene. And it's like,
yeah.
That's how I felt the whole time. It was crazy.
Like maybe a good analogy is just like sprinting to nowhere. Like I was just like, where are we sprinting? Like I just don't understand, because I was like, yeah, it was so fast paced and things were going by so quickly. But then I also was like, but how do we have so much left?
It's like sprinting, but you're doing a marathon. So it's like, girl, you're gonna tucker yourself out. Don't sprint.
Maybe that is it. Yeah, maybe that is what it is. Wow. Well, this movie starts off with a very dark and sinister logo, and it made me wonder if this was really the first dark logo that we've gotten. I think Prisoner of Azkaban was him doing the Lumos light flashing
right
out of his window, so it was like a little bit more.
It was nighttime.
Yeah, it was nighttime, but it wasn't like
tonally dark.
Yes, like sinister. So I was like, oh yeah, I think this is the first dark one. So we're transitioning.
We have to talk about the new composer for this score, because
who is it?
This is the first one that is not John Williams.
Oh, John Williams did Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes,
he did 3.
I looked it up.
Wow.
Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire. This movie's music is by Patrick Doyle, who works a lot with director Mike Newell. And John Williams is like a modern day, and I don't even want to say this because people will be like, but like he's literally one of like the greatest living composers of our time.
Oh yeah. The amount of films he has composed for, and like big, really famous films.
He's very closely associated, obviously, with major blockbuster franchises like this. He did the score for Jurassic Park. He did the score for Home Alone. Like
Star Wars.
Is like Star Wars. He is known for these huge, iconic melodies. And I think because of the reason that he's associated with properties that are so like generally appealing, I think he's gotten like a really weird. People like to be like, well, it's John. I mean, it's good. He loves using strings or whatever. Like it's always like a little bit fantastical. But like when you actually listen to the music, it's so good what he does. And this movie and Patrick Doyle, it starts off and I was like, this man is trying to do John Williams. It's like
an impression of John Williams.
Girl, this is good value brand John Williams. Like what is
what you ordered, what you got.
This is do you remember Wish? That like
yes,
like,
what you ordered, Facebook. What you got.
Yeah, this is Wish John Williams. And honestly, he wishes he was John Williams. I was so distracted by this score for a lot of this movie because it just was like it didn't always sit right. But I also think that's partially because of like this movie's trying to move so quickly that it doesn't have time to like,
how do you
settle in the scene at all. But yeah, I was so distracted and immediately I had to look up like who the composer was because I was like, girl.
I do remember there was one moment specifically where I was like, what is this song? What are we doing right now? Like when he was walking to the owlery, I just remember being like, where did this, huh?
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. I wasn't taken out the whole time, but there was definitely a moment where I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Sorry, Doyle. What was
Sorry,
his first
Patrick
name?
Doyle.
Patrick Doyle.
I'm
Sorry.
sure you do great work, and like that's fine. It's just like the music of the first 3 films is so specific and iconic.
Why did they not go with? Was John Williams just like, I can't keep coming back for every film, or did Mike Newell just say, I want my guy on this?
I have no idea. It says John Williams, who had scored the first 3 Harry Potter films, could not return for the 4th installment due to a busy schedule.
Okay, well, that basically confirms what you're saying, that they basically hired Patrick Doyle and were like, just do what John did, you know?
So the initial request was that Doyle would be working with Williams' material, so basically like taking all the stuff he'd written previously and like readapting it for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then the only thing that was kept was Hedwig's theme. The dun, 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 dun. Okay, fine.
The Harry Potter, like the theme of Harry Potter.
What is called the leitmotif of the Harry Potter franchise.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the only thing that remained. Mama.
I'm thinking of, in the very final movie, it's is it Alexander or Alexandra? Alexander. I think it's like D-R-E. Alexander Desplat. Is that how you would say that? And his stuff is incredible, but it's because he's not trying to be John Williams.
Yeah.
It's like very clearly like a more mature sound. It's like, I think they have a lot more, like there's like the Lily's theme is just like a very soft voice, like over the strings. Like it's very gentle. There's like a lot more gentle moments in his stuff. And I think it's gorgeous. So what does it open? It opens with the sinister feel. We kind of see Nagini. Hey, girl, Nagini's slithering up, and she slithers.
Woman Nagini, correct? Yeah,
she slithers up past the gravestone, and I just would like to ask, who would willingly get a Grim Reaper next to their gravestone? Because not me.
Oh, it's so obnoxious. I kind of
with like
love
a scythe. I was
like full Halloween.
I was like, you might as well get a Dementor right there. Like I was just like, what are we doing? So I was like, you're telling me this is the Muggle-born Tom Riddle that has this on his gravestone? I was like, okay, we could maybe do something a little bit more not like
I simultaneously like it and hate it. I like it because like it's so visually iconic for the series,
but it doesn't make any
sense. At the same time, it's stupid.
It makes no sense. I was like, you could have literally done like a weeping angel or something like that, like something that is still spooky. But I would have been like, okay, more that makes more sense. I don't know. The fact that
so
it was
clear
like,
that
fucking
whoever, maybe the production designer was like, it's going to be a Grim Reaper with a scythe, and that's what Harry gets like bound up in when he's like held to the thing. And they were like, what a brilliant idea, and we won't have any questions.
Yeah, no questions asked.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very normal gravestone. 100%.
You know normal muggles and how they have huge Grim Reapers with scythes? It's like a normal thing you see.
If I pass before you, please ensure. Only a Grim Reaper with a scythe.
Yeah.
So I just, that bumped me immediately. I was like, no, I'm sorry, what? Maybe in a wizarding graveyard, but I was like, not this muggle graveyard. Okay. So Sweet Frank, who is in his little house on the grounds, just making his tea, I think was what he was making. And then he sees the light in the window and he's like, ruddy kids. Because apparently the kids have been breaking in, just like in the book. He's used to kids busting up into the house, so that's what he thinks is going to happen.
This is good. This is telegraphed well. You don't need to know the book to understand why he's upset. I get it.
But here we go, and shit's I already have questions. Are you ready, Adam? Adam, are you ready?
Say it.
So he overhears the voices. So Junior is in the room with Voldy already.
Barty Jr., David Tennant has so much screen time in this film.
David Tennant
was like, listen, I understand that in the book, it's like a reveal right at the end. You have to know it's me through the entire film. There has to be basically no question as to who Moody actually is. Because it's telegraphed so early in this movie. There's no surprise.
In the contract, he had to say, like, no, I will not wear anything over my face. You have to make sure that I have X amount of screen time. Like it had to been in his it had to been in his contract because his face, they showed his face from like 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes in until the end. He was present.
Truly, it is so the craziest thing about so pros of the book, the like pros and cons. The pro of the book is that she really pulled two red herrings and it was truly able to like shock and surprise everybody that it's someone completely different.
Yes.
And the clues are still in the book for when you go back to read it, as we just did.
Yeah.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
It's great. It works well.
Yeah.
This movie is like, what's not interesting? The mystery of who Moody is. So honestly, we'll just from the beginning, we'll just know that it's him. We're just not worried about it. Everybody read the book already. They know it's David Tennant, and we really want to give him screen time.
But then Adam, they're pushing all these clips of Igor doing this.
Oh.
No, I was like, this is too much. What are we doing? I was like, okay, we get that you're trying to make us think it's Igor. Like, you guys actually need to stop doing that a little bit. The like menacing shot of him like closing the doors to go into the Goblet of Fire. I was like, okay, this is what I did not need. Anyway, I don't want to get too far ahead. So Nagini comes in while they're talking, and she basically is like, I'm sorry, before Nagini, we can hear the snake talking.
And the snake doesn't move its mouth. What? Well, I guess it doesn't move.
That's what it sounded like to me. So when Nagini comes in, Voldemort is telling Junior that he needs to send a sign to the other Death Eaters somehow, like send a signal to them. So I was like, oh, we're just straight up going with something completely different. So this man is not going to the Quidditch World Cup because the Winky is not involved, I know, but like he's not going to the Quidditch World Cup because his dad is letting him go. He is full on going there to stir shit up with the Death Eaters. So like, what that is giving me is that he is the ringleader of the Death Eater thing that then happens at the Quidditch World Cup. I'm like, this is totally different. He's not mad that they're out doing whatever it is they're doing, burning shit. He's not mad that they're rioting.
The Quidditch World Cup sequence makes no sense narratively.
No, there's multiple things in this with Barty Crouch Jr. that don't make any sense. Correct. There's like multiple things that happen that I was like, I'm sorry. Excuse me?
This movie felt like, do you know Drunk History, the show on Comedy Central, where people get drunk and try to retell history? It feels like somebody read Harry Potter in a night in the Goblet of Fire and then was like, got toasted. And they were like, and then Barty Crouch was like, so he like shot because they know the end. And so they're explaining it to you and you're like, who's Barty Crouch Jr.? Why is this interesting? Anyway.
There were multiple moments where I was like, hold on, wait. So maybe that was why it took me longer. That's why it felt like it was 3 hours, because I had to stop to be like, wait, so I was like typing out, this is what happens. This is what we're doing. So then Nagini is like, Hasasabsasai. This guy's in the hallway. And then Frank doesn't even get a moment.
Hasasabasai.
Hasasai. And so then she's like, that guy's out in the hallway. So then he's like, oh, okay, I'll say hi. Hello. And he doesn't even get to talk before he's killed. Then the teapot is going off because supposedly he's screaming. I thought I heard a scream layered in the background.
Sure. It felt reminiscent of book 3 and the like Harry scream to train whistle.
So right away Hermione is waking up I almost said Daniel. Hermione's waking up Harry from his dream, and I was like, oh my God, Daniel's mop of hair.
The long hair. We have to talk.
The long hair.
We are going to devote the next 10 minutes to long hair of the mid-2000s.
No, actually, it's not even 10 minutes. I just want to say, I feel like, actually, I don't even know if, like, it's necessarily a bad thing, because, like, if you're our age and you remember when these movies came out, this was just kind of like a popular hairstyle for boys. This like shaggy, like long, just like grown out, like almost like
Yes.
skater hair is what I would have called it. Like it was very
Yes.
popular at this time. So I
Yes.
understand. I think the reason why it just like hasn't really aged well is because it's so clear, like Harry specific or Daniel specifically grew out his hair from like a regular haircut. Like his hair.
And then it goes back the next movie.
Yes, and it goes back, and it's so short in the next movie. I think it's too short.
I think very short.
The third film is like perfect Harry Potter hair. They did such a good job of making it like messy and all over the place.
Yeah.
That's always what I pictured Harry's hair to look like. So third movie, did it right. We'll never see it again. It'll never go back.
Fifth movie on, everyone's a little too hot. It's a little too Hollywood. Like everyone's a little too pretty. I think third really gets it right in that they do all still. They are very attractive because they're all beautiful people.
They're all pretty people.
But they still feel like they're accessible, real people as well. Whereas like this movie, no. This movie, no one is real. Everyone's a cartoon of a gross teenager, and it's awful. I hate it. And it's every male character. And the only two people in this movie who are men that have, or like students who are boys and have like normal haircuts are Seamus Finnegan and Dean Thomas. Everyone else is like
Cedric. Cedric Diggory. Oh, you mean of the Harry Potter's age,
the running
kids?
Crew.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about Cedric Diggory because this is probably the first time where I watched it where I was like, wow, he's actually like, I was always like,
I know
he's so attractive, but I was like, oh my god, did he get hotter?
I know. I had the same thought. There was a moment where I was like, this man's jawline is just this should be illegal. I was like,
cheekbones Diggory over here.
I was like, oh my god,
it's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And like I watched all the Twilight movies, but I was never really into him as like Edward. But I was like, no, is Cedric like, yes, I'm here for him as Cedric.
He's a little too brooding as Edward. I don't like a brooder, but like good guy Cedric who smiles.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just didn't like how they like styled him. It was like the way they did his hair, the onset makeup. It just wasn't my thing.
He's like very pale.
Yeah. But in this, but yeah, Daniel's mop of hair specifically, it's so clear to me that it's just like he just like grew his hair out from like a normal haircut, and it wasn't ever properly cut to be like, I don't know, just a long haircut. Like they kind of needed to do some stuff to it.
I'm gonna say worst situation probably goes to Rupert as Ron, because like his is like a curtain.
Yeah, there's something because him and the twins' hair is similar, but I think the twins' hair looks a little bit better because it is more of that 70s.
Styled.
Yeah, like
feathered.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I also just think Rupert looks so like in the fifth movie when they cut his hair short, he looks so good. So I feel like he just looks really nice with short hair, or like a more like a better. His hair texture needs to be like cut a specific way. It's not his fault. I don't know who was the stylist on this film, Adam, because they just straight up were like, "Oh yeah, do it. Let your hair be like that's fine." I was like,
it's so weird, but it's all everyone did it. That I was like, this has to be a choice. That they were like, we need you to grow your hair out, or maybe it wasn't. I have no idea, and everyone just happened to do it at the same time. It's just weird that everyone did it. Everyone in the movie has long hair. It's crazy. And they all look greasy. Yeah. Because they all are greasy. That was they're all teenagers.
Yeah. That was another problem is like, I remember there was one when the scene where Ron is dancing with Minerva, I was like, oh, his hair actually looks nice here. But a lot of the time I was like, oh yeah, it just needs needs some dry shampoo. But this is, and like, to be clear,
we're at the Burrow.
What?
We're at the Burrow. We just like, Petunia, Vernon, and Dudley don't need a check for this film.
Oh, I know. They were not in it at all.
You know how mad I would have been if I was any of those actors and like I'm guaranteed a check for the next like 6 movies.
No, we need readers. Please remember, this is the book where they come in through the fireplace. It is like one of the most cinematic scenes that is written in the 4th book, and we don't have it at all. Nope. We don't even have a transition. I was just like, that was why I was mad.
No explanation as to how they are at the Burrow already. Just like, we're there, and then the next scene we're going to the Quidditch World Cup, and the next scene we're at the Quidditch World Cup, and the next scene the Quidditch World Cup is over.
That's literally yes, exactly. That's my next note. My next note is, next thing we know, we're walking to the port key and Amos and Cedric are here. And then I literally wrote ... hot.
So hot.
The moment of Hermione and Ginny, I was like, this is me and Adam energetically from states away in this moment, is us being like.
Yes.
Because it was like, yeah, hello?
I'm going to also go out on a limb and say this movie does not give Robert Pattinson enough to do.
No, because, I feel like he could have been in it way more.
I think that when Harry comes back with his body and Daniel's crying and Amos is crying, I think that scene is effective because those two actors sell it. But like when he dies, I should feel more, and I just like didn't, because like we barely get any time with that character in this book.
We didn't get as much of him. Yeah, we didn't get as much of him.
And I have a complaint about the maze, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Okay, great. I did make a note. Yeah, for next week. I did make a note that Amos Diggory is much more likable in this. And I liked that they made that choice, just because I think it would kind of like, I don't know. It wouldn't have come off the right way if they made one, we're just getting introduced to Cedric, and then we're also getting introduced to his dad, who like kind of acts like a dick. Like, it just is a smarter choice to be like, oh, and you really like his dad, so then you probably would like really like Cedric too, because his dad is clearly a really nice guy, so he's raising his son to be the same way. So they get to the port key. Harry almost doesn't touch the port key. Like, Harry, everyone else is touching it. I was like, dude. And I love when they're in the port key and the adults are literally just all like, ah! Like, did you catch that?
Yeah.
They were all like having the time of their lives. Like, they're like, woo! And then like all the kids are like, ah! Like this. It was so funny to me. And then they're like, just let go. And they're like, let go. And he's like, yeah. And then they flying through the air. And then somehow Amos, Arthur, and Cedric are just like
running down from the sky.
I liked it. I'm not saying it was bad, but I just thought it was so funny that they were just like the way they were moving. Oh God, I loved it. So that was great. And then I literally, my next note is, are we even 5 minutes in? Because I was watching this on the PS5, which I don't know how to work. And I was like, are we 5 minutes in, trying to see, but I couldn't find like the timestamp. And I was like, we're at the cup already.
We're at the cup.
We are at the Quidditch Cup. What is this?
Which is famously the 8th chapter in this book.
How many? Wait, I need to see how many pages in. Oh yeah, the Quidditch World Cup is almost 100 pages into the book.
And we're about 3.5 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, 3.5. That sounds right. So I like that they're friends with Cedric. There isn't like this animosity because of the Quidditch game from the last year. That was from book 3. And then boom, we are right at the Quidditch match. It's like, they show they see the tent and then they're there.
Yeah, the interior of the tent is a little too fancy from what I think they were actually in, but that's fine. They fully were like, because we're cutting the whole Winky, like we're just cutting that entirely.
Yeah.
Now they're just at the top of the stands. Like they
they're
like
not
bad seats.
They're not sitting with the Malfoys at
They're
all.
not
The
sitting with the
Malfoys
minister.
are sitting with the minister alone.
Correct.
There's no Ludo, too.
I thought was weird.
Well, Ludo is the one that got him the seats, and Ludo doesn't exist anymore. So they just decided to be like,
they could have been like, the minister gave you this. Anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, come up with that. They could have even still said Ludo Bagman gave me the seats and never shown him. Like, nobody's gonna be like, now I'm missing Ludo Bagman.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would have been fine if they were still in the box. They clearly didn't want to include this at all. I remember being very upset about that when I went to see the movie, that there wasn't any of the Quidditch match.
Oh, the game, which is just like, boo, and then we're celebrating.
Yes. Also, then I was having questions because I was like, okay, so Lucius made a threat of like, he was like, enjoy yourself while you can. So I was like, okay, so then does he already know what Junior is doing? Like, and he knows he's talking about the plan of Voldemort's plan, or is he talking about how they're going to like riot at the end of the day?
I think it's the riot, but the riot doesn't because they cut that they were like, the entire thing about there were like muggles who like own the land. They cut that. So then there's just no reason for the riot. Like,
no, there's rioting. It's literally like a KKK riot. There's burning shit to burn it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to talk about the black robes that the Death Eaters wear.
Oh, we will. Yes. Did you notice that some of the Ireland players were like, looked like they were in their 50s?
No.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I was like, oh, some of these Ireland players are like a bit up there. And then everyone was wearing Ireland colors except for Harry and Ron. Like Harry was wearing a Bulgaria scarf and then Ron was wearing a Bulgaria bowler hat. And I was like, okay. I don't know how they decided that. That looked unintentional. That literally looked like they were like, just grab something like to the kids. Yeah. And then they were like, okay, I'll wear red and black.
The prop table.
Yeah, exactly.
Wear something.
So yeah, we don't see any of the Quidditch game. This is where I made a note about Fred and George's hair looking better than everyone else's just because it looks more intentional. And then this is my note about the Death Eaters, which I understand that this was a English film team, but this is just straight up the KKK in black robes.
Yeah, I would say I really noticed. I mean, I obviously noticed it here, but at the end when they're in the graveyard, I was like, oh my God, that's just the outfit.
It literally, if you look up, if you just Google like KKK outfits, it looks like this. So, I mean, it's, if not in the book universe, in the film universe, they are definitely the KKK, the Death Eaters. Yeah. I mean, that's what they are. So Harry is in the riot that is started by these KKK Death Eaters. Harry is knocked out and separated from Hermione and Ron. And this was like really chaotic. Like I was just like, okay, because
crazy.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we're just like really going all in on this, I guess. And then here we go, Adam. Barty Crouch Jr. is just walking around.
He's walking around, he's never really had an invisibility cloak in his life in this canon.
I don't even think he's hiding.
He's like clearly not hiding. This movie, when you start to peel the onion, that is like because what they changed, like what is this movie saying?
Yeah.
They should have just cut Barty Crouch Sr. because the end doesn't make sense with like him freaking like none of this makes sense. They try to write it off at the end by being like Azkaban might be missing someone. And I was like, no, this is so dumb.
They never it's never even mentioned.
Dumbledore says to fucking somebody at the end of the movie, he says, contact Azkaban. Right. The Dementors might realize after they catch
someone. Right. When they catch him. Yeah. But there's no like someone has escaped. Oh, because I was like, honestly, do that then. Like, make it obvious that there is someone that is on the run. I guess maybe she didn't want to do that because that's the whole thing in book 5 that they do that. But we didn't talk about it at all. So, like, if you're watching this from the standpoint of you haven't read these books, you would be hella confused. Like, I'm just like, because, okay, so for example, I don't want to get into this too much because it's not Harry Potter. There is a series called Shadow and Bone that I really like. Allie has read it too. I think we've talked about it on like previous episodes of the podcast. They combined Shadow and Bone with another series that she wrote that is in the same universe called Six of Crows, and they did a really good job of kind of creating another explanation for like why everyone's, you know, kind of crossing paths and things like that. And I feel like just with one example, like just that alone, I'm like, there's a way that you could have done it. And I just don't think that they were bothered to do that.
Because like, you have to make sure that there's enough time for the 15-minute dragon chase. You have to make sure that there's time for
I am so mad about that. I will never let it go. That and the fact that Hermione's dress is not blue. Because her dress is blue in the book. They could have done the same dress in blue. Blue. So then they. Oh, were you going to say something about?
No, I just
Junior?
like can't. I can't. This movie is crazy. We are literally. I need you to know we're not even 15 minutes into this movie at this point.
Also, I do think you watched a different version than me. Your version does have additional scenes. So if I miss, it does.
Because I was like, what is this? I saw things that I've never seen before. Listeners, if you watch the Peacock version,
I need to watch it.
Tell me if it's just like they put the deleted scenes into that version, because I'm desperate to know.
Because I know that one scene is a deleted scene that you mentioned, but then I also was like, what are other scenes that would be in that then?
There was a scene where 3 Durmstrang students ask out 3 Hogwarts students, and I was like,
wait, what?
Yes.
I need to watch the Peacock version.
It was very weird. It's very quick. Like, it's just like a transition between scenes, and I was like, why would this be a scene in this movie? Why would they dedicate time to this moment?
I need to watch all of the movies on Peacock then, because then they probably all have deleted scenes. Oh my gosh, I need to get a Peacock membership. Okay. So Barty Crouch Jr. is just walking around. He shoots the dark mark up into the sky. Harry witnesses it. Yeah. Harry witnesses it. And then he like runs away because he thinks that whoever this man is might have seen him. So then Harry's hiding behind like a burnt down tent, and then Hermione and Ron just start yelling Harry. They're just yelling Harry, looking for him. So then they find him.
To be clear, the entire campground is like burned.
Yes,
like it looks
burned
like
to the ground.
War zone. And yet Harry Potter survived. He was not burned.
Yeah, he survived. Yeah, the boy who lived once again.
Boy who lived lives again.
Boy who lived lives again. So this was another moment where I was like, how the fuck did this happen? So the dark mark is up in the sky. Harry wasn't standing next to Barty Crouch Jr. He ran away from him. And yet somehow once Hermione and Ron find Harry, all the Ministry wizards surround them, but they're nowhere near where Barty Crouch Jr. was. So what is this? How did they find them? But now I'm going to give a compliment to whoever the actor is that plays Barty Crouch Sr. because he was in it immediately. I was so here for it. He was just like immediately like tweaking. I was like, oh yeah, he is already. This
Barty Crouch Sr. performance. I don't know who this man is that plays him. Let me look him up really quick.
Let's look it up.
This is one of the most unhinged performances in this entire movie series. Like,
I am so here for it.
He had to have just done a bump of coke like right before every take, because he's like tweaking in this movie. It's
so funny to me. So because I think we're supposed to. So he isn't Imperious at all. Correct.
His name is Roger Lloyd Pack.
Roger
No,
Lloyd
he's not
Pack.
Imperious.
Hats off to you, Roger. Because
Roger Lloyd Pack makes choices in this movie that are just like applause worthy.
Yeah,
His
commitment.
weird hand thing.
I know. I just love him. I just love, I feel like in terms of like how I kind of imagined Crouch, this is spot on. And he went above and beyond things I didn't even think of. And it's great.
Correct.
So yes, we're supposed to go with, he is just not Imperious at all, like throughout the movie, right? Not at all. Okay. So he doesn't even know that his son has escaped. He doesn't know. He's not in on it. They went in a completely different direction. Fine. Right. That's fine. If you want to go in that direction, that's fine. But there still are things that like you still have to make work. So I did want to make a note. I have no idea who this man is. I don't even know if there would be a way to find him. In this scene, when Crouch is like looking at them and trying to find the person that did the dark mark, there is a man behind Barty Crouch Jr. in a bowler hat. And I just need everyone to know he was serving. He was so in it. And I was like, I don't know who that is, but like he was just really in character. And I'm sure that they just were like, you're ministry official number 5. And he was like, I'm going to create a whole backstory. I'm going to know who I am. Like, yeah, he was so invested. So I had to give him a shout out. Whoever you are, if you listen to the pod, please know your performance is appreciated.
Congrats to this man.
So then Harry says something at one point where he's like, when he's trying to explain, he's like, oh, I saw someone over there. And then he's like, I don't know, though. I didn't see his face. It doesn't matter. Harry doesn't know who this is. He could have seen his face. We didn't need him to not see his face. That was so unnecessary. He could have seen his face. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because even later when he does see his face in the pensive.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, no.
He doesn't know that it's Moody.
Yeah, no.
Even though this movie needs the audience to know that he's Moody.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just like to say that we jump immediately after this, we just are on the Hogwarts Express.
Right on the Hogwarts Express.
So here we are on the Hogwarts Express. Alley?
No.
Yeah, nope, nothing. So I would like to say that movie Harry is much more generous than book Harry. He offered to buy Ron some snacks on the Hogwarts Express right away. He was like, it's okay, I'll get it immediately. So that was very nice. And then, yes, Hermione.
That was an ad lib from Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I had to be, yeah, because he's just such a sweetie. Had to have been. I need everyone to know that Hermione, once again, is just she's asking the real questions, okay? Why wasn't there security?
Thank you.
Good question. That's what we want to. We are Hermione.
Great question, Hermione.
We would like to know. And I love that Ron's like, oh yeah, there was. And like, that's why they're so upset because it was like right under their noses. But I was like, that doesn't answer the question.
Right.
But why wasn't there security to stop them from burning down everyone's tents? Because apparently that's what they did.
Aquamenti is a spell that we already know.
Yeah.
Put the fire out, girl.
Yeah. So Hermione, ever the observant, what is Hermione? A Libra? Hermione is a Libra, is she not? Isn't Hermione's birthday today?
I don't know.
No, her birthday is her birthday is September 19th. Libra season starts tonight at 9 p.m. Or at least for me, I think, on my time zone.
We're out of Virgo season.
Yeah, we're out of Virgo season. She's Hermione's a Virgo, which like, yes, I see that as well in her. She notices that Harry's like rubbing his scar more, and she's like, I really think you should write to Sirius. So he does. So he sends Hedwig off on her first errand. And this is the last we will see of Miss Hedwig for this entire film.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. That's
Even
it.
when he goes to the Owlery, no Hedwig.
No.
No.
So
goodbye.
She got that, the owl wrangler got the one check and then they dipped.
Yeah.
Thank
you for your service today. I hope you enjoyed your craft services. Have a great day.
And then they're at school. Hedwig is sent off on her mission, and then they are at Hogwarts, and then the Beauxbaton students arrive immediately.
Immediately.
Adam, before they even know about, this is what I'm saying. This is where I'm starting to be like, wait, what the fuck are you doing? You didn't even tell these kids that the Triwizard Tournament is happening. Why are they all hanging out the window looking? They wouldn't know someone's coming. No one has told them about the Triwizard Tournament. What is happening?
It's so crazy.
It
doesn't make any sense.
You had to have mentioned it before now. I'm sorry. Like, I don't believe this. And I also, this is going to make me sound like such a film snob, but like the moment of them looking through the windows where they're like seeing stuff come out, like there was a way for them to just make that a little bit more cohesive. Like I was like, This is very obviously them on a sound stage looking out the windows saying one-liners. And then you guys did all of this other, like all these other special effects. Like I was like, I'm sorry, I needed you to blend the two a little more. All we have is the shot at the end where you see the Durmstrang ship with Hogwarts in the background. That's like the only connecting shot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, I'm sorry. I was like, no, I don't believe that. Like I was like that. It once again took me out. I do enjoy the bit with Hagrid where he's like directing them with the horse, and then he like gets like run over basically. Yeah. Clear the runway. I was like, great, love it. That was great.
But again, take a drink because it's a dumb comedy bit.
No, right, yeah. And then here, and I'm going to mention another one right now. So now we're in the Great Hall. Once again.
Please say it's Filch.
Yes. We're in the Great Hall already, you guys. We have not even been told that the Triwizard Tournament is happening, and yet the Beauxbatons and the Durmstrang students have already arrived, and the Hogwarts students are aware that they're... I was like, what? Hold on. This was just like, I was so confused.
It's so fast.
It was so fast.
I don't know how you could watch this movie and not having read the movie, how you understand what's going on.
No, you would have to pause it and be like, wait, I'm sorry, who are these? Who is this? Who are these people? Who is coming in the carriage? What is the ship about? Like, you just literally would be like, was RJ, dang it. I wish
you could being attacked? Is Hogwarts being attacked?
Yeah, right. Are these enemies? What is going on? I wish I could have seen, because RJ's seen all the films, right?
Yeah.
I wish I could sit with him and just like watch him watch it.
His first time watching this specific movie was like at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, okay. Did he watch it with you though? Do you remember him like having a lot of questions?
No.
Was he just like,
because he had read the book.
Oh, the fourth book he read. Okay. Yeah, I need to find someone who hasn't read the books and be like, will you do a social experiment with me and watch the fourth movie?
You should do not read the books and not seen the movies and not show them 1, 2, 3. Just take them into 4 and be like, what do you think? Explain to me what's going on in this movie.
Yeah, please tell me what you think is happening here. They could even watch 1, 2, and 3. I don't think it would make a difference. I think they still would be like, because Beauxbatons and Durmstrang, we know nothing about them. It's like completely new. So yes, I'm going to talk about the Filch and Dumbledore bit. I don't like it.
Sorry. I think it may be the best part of this movie. This movie, and I will say, like, this movie's very annoying for a number of reasons. This movie, one of the things that I think it did well was it like made Filch weird and goofy.
Oh no. Like, I like Filch. I don't like Dumbledore in it. The Filch bit is fine. Like the Filch Dumbledore exchange, I'm just like, I'm sorry. It's just, I think it's Michael Gambon. He's like, well, tell them to wait. Like he's mad. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't like, Dumbledore isn't a mad person unless there's like literally a life or death situation. Like that's just not him. So whenever Michael Gambon decides to do his mad thing, I hate it.
Well,
I just don't like it.
We're going to have to talk about it.
Yep. Yes, we are.
Coming up.
Everyone knows it's coming. So Dumbledore tells all the Hogwarts students about the tournament, and then immediately after that, the Beauxbaton students and the Durmstrang students enter.
Yeah.
So they were waiting in the wings. Like, I'm just like, what are we doing? What is happening? So
Beauxbaton comes in and everyone stares at their asses. There's a camera shot of like 16-year-old girls' butts.
Thank you. And I just, it's not even like their whole entrance and their choreography is fine. The fact that they did a fucking butt shot, no. That's even, it's just even grosser, like now being an adult and like trying to imagine like being what it's, even if they're not actually 16, they are portraying 16-year-old girls, like 16 to 17.
Yeah,
So,
it's weird.
no.
I don't like it. And it's also like this movie, I feel like, I mean, whatever the movie is good and bad at, this movie iconically set the standard of like the Beauxbatons look and the Durmstrang look.
Right.
And I remember because of this, I think when we talked about it on the pod, I like mistakenly forgot that like Beauxbatons does not just have female students.
Yeah, no. And not Durmstrang doesn't just have boys.
Right. But like I thought they did because this movie is like, it's a girls' school and a boys' school.
Yeah. Which also, that's like, isn't that a very English thing? I don't think that's necessarily a European thing, but I'm also American, so someone correct me if that is if that's wrong.
We should comment on the goings on of Europe.
You know, Americans should comment on what's happening in other countries.
It's just like it was weird. I don't like. And also, like, here's what I'm gonna say. Little Miss Girl who plays Fleur Delacour, God bless her. She's not giving me part Vila from whatever the description of, and like she's a beautiful young woman.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
She looks very French. I'll say that. But like
she is
still supposed to be like drop dead gorgeous. Like you're supposed to look at her and be like, the reason like Ron in this movie supposedly like can't even control his words around her because she's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But like she's pretty.
I feel like obviously it's so attraction is such like a subjective thing, so it's so hard. And they're clearly not doing a Vila anything.
Correct.
But yeah, I think maybe they did just choose to go with she's just very French because she does kind of look like, I don't know, like a posh French girl, basically.
Yeah.
That's what she looks like to me. And yeah, I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to say anything disparaging against her because she is beautiful. But I think what I know what you mean, that it was supposed to be like,
this book writes her like she is like men would hurl themselves off a cliff because she looked at them. Like maybe like hot. I don't know, like hotter. I don't know, like steamier. Sexier, sultry, something.
Yeah, something. I don't know. But maybe they were just like not going to try and go for that at all. But then you're also zooming in on like teenage girls' asses. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I'm going to choose between one or the other, please just make Fleur more sultry and like don't zoom in on their asses. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is so weird. I still think it's so weird and I'll never let that go.
And they only did it because it was all girls. They would have never done it if it was like a co-ed school.
Exactly. They would have never done that. I mean, never would they have zoomed in on the Durmstrang asses. What about the Durmstrang asses for the girls and the gays? Excuse me?
Hello?
I mean, I can't even get into the whole like the size discrimination of it all too. Like they're all like a size 2. All the Beauxbatons girls.
Yeah.
All of the Durmstrang men are like built like lumberjacks.
Correct.
Like, I'm just like, what are we doing? Anyway, so I don't like how Michael Gambon interacts with Filch. I don't like how the Dumbledore. I don't like how he plays Dumbledore in this moment. I think Filch being more of this type of character, I think that's a great choice because it works.
So funny. It works. This is one of the running through lines of this movie that like him with the cannon starting each task. That bit lands each time, and I don't know how they do it, but it lands each time.
That's great. I feel like they do carry it into the next movie too.
Yeah, he's a little bit more bumbling.
Yeah, I just think they gave him more, like with the megaphone when they're getting ready for the Yule Ball, and like at the Yule Ball when he's dancing with Mrs. Norris. Like I was like, okay, yes, here we go. This is like a great way to use him. Because he's a great actor. He's like a very well-known actor. Everything about I actually like the Durmstrang entrance, that they are like kind of are like martial artists. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I don't really understand what the staff thing is. What I liked sparking? Are there wands in there?
I like that they break dance. I think that's fun.
Their talent. Fine.
But I do think it's funny that Beauxbatons gets full applause after they come in, and Durmstrang is just like, there is not a lick of applause. They are so frightened.
Yeah, they're so terrified. Also, he was like, and their High Master Igor Karkaroff. I was like, sorry, we can't just call him a headmaster? Why is it High Master?
Because, baby, he been smoking them doobies.
I was so confused. Also, it was kind of funny to me. I don't necessarily dislike it, but like Hermione was straight up glaring at Crumb. Like she hated him.
I want to say, listen, we all know that we stand. This is a Emma Watson stan cast, okay?
Oh, yes. I love Emma.
Always and forever.
Forever.
Emma Watson in this movie acts in every scene like the rent is due tomorrow. Like she is giving a 10 in every scene of this film. There's the scene, you'll get to it later, but there's the scene where they get like escorted by Moody to go, like they have to go to Dumbledore's office before the second task because they're going to be the ones who are like at the bottom of the lake. And she's like, but Harry doesn't even know what he's going to do. And Moody's like, too bad. And she like storms off glaring at Moody. And I was like, this is like, she is at a 10 through this movie. She is so mad. It's also a little bit of like, they really get in the movies, especially Joe does this in the books too. So there's precedent for it, obviously. But the movies really get into a thing of like, the old nag Hermione, the old harpy who just can't ever be happy and like always wants to be mad about something.
It's like, so funny. Oh my God. It's funny that you say that though, because like I feel like I really identify with like Hermione, 14-year-old Hermione being like fed up with everyone's shit. Like I am just like same. Like the moment where she's like, I'm not an owl. I was like,
that's great. That moment should happen. But it's also like she's mad because she's choosing to sit in the room with the goblet and like study while everyone's like trying to put their names in the goblet, and she's mad that she's choosing the worst place in the castle to study. Like, no, Hermione would be at the library. This is so dumb.
Yeah, I know what you mean, like, though. They really play into it. Her first line
in this movie is she like wakes Harry up and she's like, get up, we have to go. And I'm like, oh my God.
I love it. I'm like so here for it. That's so funny though, because that is what she's like yelling at them all the time. You're right. Yeah. But I like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you tell them, Hermione. Also, when I was writing my notes today, every time I wrote Hermione, it kept wanting to correct it to Herman.
This is a Herman stand.
Our girl Herman Granger.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Herman. Hermione's just like straight up glaring at Crumb when he comes in. Like Ron is like, it's funny because they keep having Ron be like, it's him, Victor Crumb. Like they keep having his voice do that. And I was like, were you guys telling Rupert to do that? Maybe that was just stylistic choice. So I was like, I mean, okay. So she glares at Crumb and I was like, okay. And then I just want to point out that Karkaroff literally says Albus. And in my mind, I was like, and he whispered pussy in his ear.
Albusi.
Albusi. That's why Dumbledore welcomed him, because he was like, I know you're on the DL. You're one of those.
No, I hate that.
I'm just kidding. He's definitely not. No gay man would have teeth like that. Okay. Those are some straight men teeth. So then immediately after this, the Goblet of Fire is being revealed. We're just going right into it. What's his name? Barty Crouch Sr. announces that no one under the age of 17 can compete, and the Weasley twins are very upset about this. And then Dumbledore is like, silence! And then everyone is quiet. And then the Goblet of Fire gets revealed. She's there.
When they do the like reveal of the like, or maybe it's the Triwizard Cup. It's the Triwizard Cup where there's like something on it and it shoots into the sky. Yes, I was like, this is so stupid.
A reveal.
Reveal.
Dumbledore is a gay man, guys. The flourish that he has.
The dramatics.
Yes. So then after the Goblet of Fire is revealed, then there's like a thunderstorm occurs in the ceiling, and Moody is like, Moody reveals himself and is like, stupid ceiling. And then greets Dumbledore, but not before, or how would you say this? But not before. When he's like walking around before he says something to Albus, Minerva is not having it. She is very concerned about this man being in her school.
This movie, okay. I don't think Alan Rickman has a line in this film. And same for Professor McGonagall. Neither of them talk for like 45 minutes of this movie.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. They're like not even half of it.
They might as well not even be in the castle. They could be drinking a Honeydukes because they are they're not a part of the story.
I honestly thought Minerva should have been involved more. I don't know what was going on with Maggie's career at this time, because she very well may have been like, I can only come for these times because she's fucking Maggie Smith. So like, yeah, sure. But yeah, I thought she was in it. Her and Alan Rickman barely in it.
The first scene where they talk in this movie is the scene after it gets announced that Harry's one of the Triwizard Champions.
Yes.
Which I'm almost positive is like 35 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wish they would have done a wooden leg for Moody. I'm not into the like iron leg thing that they gave him. I understand it would have been harder, and so that's probably why they just gave him an iron boot. But I just think there was another way. Also, the moment where Seamus is like, what's that he's drinking, do you think? I thought that was a little too on the nose. I didn't need that. A shot of him drinking was fine. You're like, why? What is he drinking? Why is he drinking that? Yeah. You could have even had Moody address it later, that someone offers him a drink and he's like, no, I don't. I only drink like my own stuff. Like, yeah, I just feel like there was a way. That was too much. It was too much like, oh, wow, who done it? Oh, well, keep an eye on him. This suspicious.
This movie is like just not concerned with the mystery or the like reveal of Moody. Actually, like it doesn't think it's interesting, so it doesn't try to like make that fun. I do like, speaking of kids who ask questions, Dean asks what an auror is, and I was like, shout out to giving it to the correct character, Dean? Because the Muggle boy would not know what an auror is.
This was also Dean's only line in like the whole film.
Only line in the movie.
Well done, Alfie. I have another.
Now in this one, I looked at him and I was like, you can tell in this movie that in like 5 years he's going to be like hot.
In the next film, the 5th film, all of a sudden he pops up on screen and we all in the theater were like,
yeah.
We were like, who is that? That's Dean? Dean Thomas? Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was like overnight for him. It was crazy. I mean, from our perspective, I'm sure it wasn't. It was like fourth movie to fifth movie. It was just like, whoa. So yeah, see, I have another note here. Where I was like, Dumbledore is so mean. I don't like it. Like, he's just mean. So okay, I wanted to make a note though that when we see Fleur, she is sitting with her little sister. So her little sister came along from the get. And then pretty much right after that is the creepy shot of Igor Karkaroff going into the Great Hall at night while no one's there. And it's too on the nose for me. It's too obvious. Okay. Like it's one of those things where for writing, they'll say like, you don't want exposition and you don't want to insult the intelligence of your reader.
Correct.
You don't want to spell it out for them.
Don't talk down to them. Yeah.
So I just, and I felt that. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not stupid. So it's weird that like there are very important pieces missing where like in terms of like the order that things need to happen in, they're not following the order that it needs to be followed. But then they're doing stuff like this where it's like they are just like slamming it in your face that you're supposed to suspect Karkaroff.
This movie's for like teenagers. It's not for like 5-year-olds. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I even remember having that thought when we saw it in theaters for the first time. Just like, oh, they're really trying to make us suspect Igor.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay.
The shot of Igor is very annoying.
Yeah,
especially because this movie
so
doesn't
many.
do anything outside of just like shots to convince us that he's like bad.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
And you even saw the carriage scene where him and Snape, he's like talking to Snape. Like I didn't even have that in my version.
Yeah, correct.
So there's even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing I have in my version is where he shows his dark mark and Harry happens
in the
to
closet.
see it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I will say that the actor that plays Moody, I know that he's Bill's dad in real life. That's all I know. Mm-hmm. I don't know his actual name. He is I feel like he's perfect. Like he's perfectly cast for Moody. But I'm sorry, I have another issue with the gum bit in his classroom.
Brendan Gleeson is his name.
What is it?
Brendan Gleeson.
That's Moody's name? Mm-hmm. Or that's Bill. Okay. Brendan Gleeson.
Donald Gleeson.
Dominic.
Is...
Yeah, okay. Wait, Dominic or Domal?
Donald. It's pronounced Donald, but it's Domhall, I think.
Donald.
Well, okay. It's the Irish.
Yeah,
spelling.
Irish. Sure. So this is not the actor's fault at all. He's killing it. He's doing a great job. It would be a special effects issue. He sees Seamus. What?
Oh, the eye. Are you talking about the eye?
Yes. Did you make this note? The eye is not. It's not looking out of.
Right before this, I like. In general, I like what the special effects team does with the eye, because it is cool that it like is constantly moving. Like it's a very cool effect that they do. I know what you're saying, and then I love the moment that happens directly following what you're about to say, but you can continue.
Where Seamus, where he like turns around on him. Yeah. Yes. I think that's great. The only issue is that the eye is looking forward when he is telling him to put his gum somewhere else. And it only turns around to look out the back of his head after he has said that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you need to have the eye it needed to be reversed. The eye needed to be turned around. And then when he is about to turn around, the eye comes back to the front.
Yeah.
So that bothered me because I was like, how did no one catch it?
But then he throws his chalk and it hits the girl behind you.
Oh, it does! Oh, I didn't see that! Oh, I didn't see that. That's so funny. I didn't see that. Oh my God, I'll have to go back.
In the face. It's so funny.
Did she like react to it?
She's like, and then it cuts really quick. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Oh, that's funny.
I rewound it and I watched it again.
I'll have to watch that part. So apparently, and also he starts asking them for the unforgivable curses, which this is pretty similar to in the book. But I would like to say, apparently the Weasleys are just the only redheads in the wizarding world, because Barty Crouch Jr. knows who Arthur Weasley's son is right away.
Mhm.
I was just like, and then Lily Evans, the Muggle-born Lily Evans. She must be the only other. People must have confused her for a Weasley all the time.
All the
Because
time.
there's no other redheads. This is pretty similar to the book. Ron gives the first spell, which is Imperio. Then Neville pipes up and mentions the Cruciatus Curse. And then I had the realization in this moment that he is the person that tortured Neville's parents, and he's right there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, ick.
Yeah. And then I don't love the Imperio moment with the spider, because I believe that Ron should pass out. The spider lands on his head.
Is that? I don't think it's a spider though, right? Isn't it something else? That bug?
Girl, it's close enough that I know that Ron Weasley is not
it's
not
like
a complete arachnid.
I wouldn't like it. Yeah, not an arachnid. Come on. No, I mean, I think it's creepy too. I don't know. And then Hermione offers up or refuses to offer up the last spell. That's kind of how it's different.
This is another one where I was like, Emma Watson is going for it. When she's like, stop it! It's upsetting him! And I was like,
yeah. Yep, no, all out.
The rent is due.
Yes. Then
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did they give what's his name who plays Neville? Did they give him fake teeth?
They gave him fake teeth and fake ears, because I think he started to become really good looking.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, he started to look nice, so they wanted to make him, look like just more of a character.
That's so dumb. Everyone looks bad in this movie because of their haircut. So all you had to do was give him a bad haircut, and everyone would have been like, ooh.
Yeah, Neville has long hair too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Neville's trajectory anyway, maybe JK started writing it that way, where he becomes more of like a hero type of archetype, because what is it? Matthew Lewis was growing up and becoming more handsome. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think they had to necessarily keep like goofing him up. They were making him look goofy for as long as they could. But Moody ends up killing the bug on Hermione's desk, which I just was like, ugh, don't do that. And then we're transported to a rainy day on Hogwarts campus, and Cedric has run in drenched from the rain, and he is putting his name in the goblet. And I was always like, as a kid, I was like, why is he like soaking wet? Why? They just had to make him drenched. And I was like, okay. There's like the shot of people running in from the rain, but I was like, I mean, fine. I don't know if I just didn't need that. Yeah. He came up from the Hufflepuff common room. He didn't need to come in from outside. It was weird.
He had to go sit in the woods to really reflect and decide if he wanted to put his name in the goblet of fire.
Oh, wait, no, never mind. I was like, wait, did I miss something? But no, it hasn't happened yet. Okay. So Fred and George come in after Cedric has put his name in the goblet, and they are convinced that they have figured it all out. They know what they're going to do. Hermione is the only person basically that's at least like outwardly not convinced. Did you like this one? It's not going to work. Emma, I love you so much.
In my acting class, Emma Watson gets a 10 out of 10 for this film. She is like coming in with choices, and she is committed to them.
Yes, the commitment. You can learn a lot from child actors too. I would just like to say.
Learn a lot.
Future
Belle.
Yes. So she's like, it's not going to work. And he's like, well, we think it is. And she's like, all right, good luck.
Okay.
So they put their names, they jump over the line and nothing happens. So they're like, yeah. And then they put their names in and for a second, nothing happens. So they think that they've done it. And then sure enough, the goblet basically like explodes and like targets them and then like kicks them out. And then they grow white hair and beards.
Correct.
And then they're fighting on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam's hubby, Crumb, stomps into the room.
Woo! Crumb is so, I'm not even kidding. I wrote down, I was like, I'm not sorry. I still think he's hot. Whatever. I will say I like him better with the like furry hat.
Oh yeah, sure. That's what I was gonna say. I think the like a huge reason why I'm just not attracted to him is because I am not a buzz cut girl.
No, you're not.
Not even a little.
Not really. Usually am I, but the scene when he like walks by and they're like they're by the lake and he like is wearing a tank top. I was like, my basement's flooded.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that's. Oh no, he looks. I was like, is that it? But Crumb looks at Hermione. And then she's like, oh, she's Adam in this moment.
I also could have like. This is another scene where I was like, I could have cut this, and you could have added something more to the film. The like Fred and George fight.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't need that. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't need that.
Maybe they felt like because they got rid of the like Ludo Bagman plotline that they were like, well, do you know much for them to do? But like you can always just use the twins to like do a one-liner. Like that's the great thing the movies do is like they just throw one-liners to the twins.
Yeah, to Fred and George. So basically after Crumb leaves the room and like has the little moment with Emma, that's the end of the scene and we're all of a sudden about to select the champions. It is literally like, it had to have been like I wish I would set like a stopwatch for like this.
Don't see Fleur put her name in.
No.
This movie does, if you think the book does Fleur Delacour dirty,
girl, I know.
This movie basically doesn't even want her to exist. Like they're mad they have to pay this actress to play this role. It's so shady. I hate this.
Team Fleur. Like if I am so Team Fleur out of all of these champions. I am so sorry. Like what are you guys doing? So yeah, 100%. I mean, there's not even Adam. She does not talk. No. I am convinced the only lines she has are improvised. I promise you. The only lines she has are improvised.
I think her first official line is at the second task after they come out of the water.
Yeah, she literally does not speak.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's really gross because especially in the book, she has like a huge personality. Yes. So that's another thing too, that it's like, okay, well, if you're going to go with that, like, I don't know, make Fleur a bitch rather than make her not talk. I'm going to say
this movie. Yeah. This movie doesn't even give her like,
I would rather you make her a mean girl, honestly. Like just give her some type of substance. They didn't give her any substance. Like, no. Anyway. So
and we already had problems with how the book treats Fleur.
Yeah,
so much watching this. I
know.
All you could have done was do better than the book, and this movie just like sank below the bar.
I made a note. I think it's like literally with her sister when she like isn't that her first line? Yeah. When her sister is swimming up and she's talking to her in French, and I promise you that was improvised. I promise you. Like they were like, and then you're just going to like, call out to your sister because you're worried about her. I don't even think that was a line written for her. So we're in the Great Hall. The champions are about to be selected. This is pretty much just like in the book. Yeah, Victor Crumb is selected first. Then Fleur Delacour.
Then Cedric, then Harry.
And then, Cedric Diggory. And Harry. So same order as the book. I'm sorry. Who does Cedric kiss? Because it is not Cho.
It's not Cho.
He gives a girl a kiss on the cheek. And I was like, first off, who was that extra? Girl. Jealous. I'm jealous. I'm pretty sure she was a Hufflepuff too. I was like, that looks like a Hufflepuff. So I was like, that's a little weird. I was like, oh, okay.
It's Hannah Abbott.
Yeah, but he didn't kiss Cho, and I was a little
kiss Cho.
And then after Dumbledore, this is where Dumbledore presents the Triwizard Cup, which once again, it's another cup. Yeah. Boom. Boom. And then after he's kind of revealed the Triwizard Cup, we see Severus Snape eyeing the Goblet of Fire behind Dumbledore. So Dumbledore turns to look, and Harry's name comes out of the Goblet of Fire.
On lined paper.
Yeah.
Lined notebook paper. You know, the thing they use at Hogwarts famously. Notebooks.
Yeah.
I said it's very Great British Bake Off to just win a cup.
To just what?
Just win a cup. You know how they just win the
they just give something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a trophy. It's like what you win in any other competition, any sports competition. I love that Dumbledore reads out Harry Potter and Harry just sits down. I was like, I rewound it. He was like,
this is
not
another
even
moment
that. He didn't even look. He was just like, it was great.
Another
I was
moment
like,
where
damn.
Hermione gets mad because she's like, get up, get up, get up.
I love it. She's like, for God's sakes, Harry, please, for God's sakes. I love that. I loved that choice by Daniel. I rewound it twice. I was like, good job, Daniel. Also, I liked Hermione's choice here too. I mean, they're just making her the mother hen. That's what they're doing. They're just making her the one that is kind of what Molly Weasley does, essentially. Hermione's doing that.
Yeah, it's just that they constantly come back to her to scold them. And I'm like, God.
So, once again, they are really pushing this Igor is the bad guy stuff.
Oh my God.
The shot of how they zoom in is for Snape first, and then they zoom in on Igor. I was literally I was like, what are we doing? And also I was like, yeah, I'm Hagrid in this moment, because Hagrid, there's the shot of him where he's just like, no. And I was like, me. And then Ron is pissed because he thinks that Harry put his name in the goblet.
It's this shot for me.
Vicious. Yes, exactly. He's like, yeah.
I hate this shot.
He's so angry. He's literally the bad guy. He's it's a villain shot.
It's a villain shot for sure.
But you know what shot I do love in this moment? Minnie putting her hand on his shoulder. Yes. I was like, she's the only person who cares. No, it is only Minerva.
No.
And then they do the same fucking zoom in shit with Moody.
Yeah. With a fisheye.
Yeah, fisheye lens, literally. I can't do a fisheye. That's my impression. That's my impression of a fisheye. Fisheye lens. I'm so sad that we were robbed of this moment of Fleur questioning Harry.
I was so sad. I do like that this is the first time in the series the movies that we see the trophy room, which is a very cool set. I'd love. Yeah. Honestly, the thing that the series always got right, no matter what, was production design. Every set is always perfect.
Yeah. Incredible.
It looks so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So,
do you know where we are? Yeah, we're at the moment. We are at the Dumbledore moment.
The Dumbledore memed moment. The memement.
Mm-hmm. The memement. Here we are. I don't know what to say about it. I've been saying the same thing this whole time. I don't like when he does the angry Dumbledore. I just don't like it. So I'm not surprised that this was the choice he made, to be honest. I obviously don't care for it. And it sounds like a lot of people feel the same way.
It just is, at this point, you have to separate book Dumbledore from movie Dumbledore. This is the moment where it's like they are two different men.
And I don't like it. I don't want to.
Because it matches everything that he's given us before this moment. This is not out of character for who Michael Gambon has decided Dumbledore is.
Yeah.
And really, the only thing I'll say is tonally, it makes so much sense for him to run into this scene questioning Harry really quickly. Because again, this movie doesn't want to spend time on anything.
Yeah, I mean.
But it is it is the most obvious scene in which you can point at the book and literally have a line that's word for word says how he says it, and it's and then he didn't say it that way.
I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they were filming this, because by no means do I think that Joe was just hanging around set every day, because on set, I mean, you're there for 12 hours or more, right. Especially if you're filming Harry Potter, the kids would have to be released.
I don't think she had as much power on the movie sets as she did when they did the theme parks.
Oh, sure.
I think they could send her design things and she would say yes or no, but I don't think it was
okay.
And now she's also an acting coach.
Well, because it's obviously you hear about how Alan Rickman knew the secret about Snape and all that stuff from the beginning. Right. So it's I am curious how much input she had. But yeah, I mean, there's no way.
He went to her for that. He asked her.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't give it. Okay. She didn't give it up to him.
He was there's something here. What's the real story?
Yeah.
And she told him. Meanwhile, Michael Gambon never read a book. So
purposefully didn't want to know anything about Dumbledore.
He is truly going off of what the screenwriter did. So at the end of the day, I'm almost going to say it's more the screenwriter's problem that he wrote Dumbledore so crazy.
Or the director to not because that's what I'm just how was this working
Mike
when
Newell
they gave him.
did not read this book. Girl, no. Mike Newell did not give a fuck. He wanted a check.
Well, Alfonso Cuarón, how do you say? Cuarón? Cuarón. Alfonso Cuarón. Mm-hmm. If he's the one that was the director when they cast Michael Gambon, and so I'm just how did those conversations go? How? Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know if he was just this is a choice I'm making and that's it, and they were just okay, well, he's going to do what he wants to do, so there's not much we can say. That could have totally been what it is, but anyway, this Dumbledore moment happens. I don't have anything else. I don't like it. I'm not here for it. Like a lot of the other things, I'm not here for it.
You know what I'm not here for, Ari? I'm not here for the fucking binding magical contract.
I know! That's my next note. Once again, here we are with this binding magical contract, and I just put eye roll. This is also the only time it's mentioned. No one ever talks about it again.
I also think this movie says more explicit that they're he has to participate because it's binding. I feel the way that this movie frames it is there's not a choice. Well,
and once again, but there's just one. Both neither of them give a thorough explanation on what would happen, because once again,
they don't give an explanation. They're just if he's got to do it.
If Harry didn't put his name in, which he very clearly didn't, he wouldn't be bound to any contract then, because he didn't put his name in. So
what if an elder person had put in Colin Creevey's name and Colin Creevey had been selected?
It's literally
You're gonna make a third year Muggle-born student who's a dipshit do this? No.
This is just it's literally the magical Hunger Games. So what are we doing? So then we move to Minerva, Severus, and Albus are all in Dumbledore's study. And he is like leaning over his pensieve.
And Moody.
And Moody, yes. And Moody's there too. And Minerva, of course, is saying that he shouldn't let Harry compete.
She's the only person.
That's why I try not to do that.
Minerva is the only person with sense in the entire wizarding world.
No, I'm sorry, is there a bit of like gaslighting or not gaslighting, but like they're just dismissing her because she's the only woman in the room? Am I reading into that a little too much? Because
they're definitely dismissing her.
Yes, like this scene, and she is his headmistress. So she is more responsible for him than any of you bitches. Like, excuse me?
Right, especially as she's his headmistress and she's deputy headmistress and head of Gryffindor House.
Yes.
Hello?
I feel like she's very dismissed here and I don't like it. And also this is another like context issue that I have. So she makes a really good point. Everything Minerva's saying is 100% correct. He's like, oh, well, the rules, like Barty said that it doesn't matter. And she's just like, well, to hell with him. And when did you care?
To hell with Barty.
Yeah. To hell with Barty. What does she say? Does she say hell? She says something else, doesn't
I think she says to heck with Barty.
To heck with Barty? She's like, who cares what Barty thinks? And since when did you care anyway? You don't care about what the ministry wants. But here, all of a sudden, you're like, we have to follow the rules. And she is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then Snape pipes up and he's like, I think that we should let these events unfold. What the fuck are you talking about? What? What is he talking about, Adam?
And then he's like, and then Dumbledore's like, well, I agree with Severus.
Yes, I agree with Severus. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I just was like, what is he even saying? Snape,
Moody
what are
kept
you
his mouth
talking
fucking
about?
shut, and I like that. Moody said, let me shut the hell up over here.
And then Dumbledore asks Moody to keep an eye on Harry, but to not let him know. So I just want to say, this is what you should be doing. You should be doing stuff like this, whoever wrote the script, or whoever is the team, the creative team on this movie. This is what you want to do, where it's like, there is something that you could go back to and be like, oh, well, Dumbledore told him to keep an eye on him. Mm-hmm. So that's why Moody was watching him all the time. But then obviously he had his own intentions. So I'm like, you should have done something like that with Igor. You needed to make something up like that with Igor instead of all these really obvious like red herring shots. Sorry. Yeah, for real. That's like all he does the whole movie, Adam. There is a shot where like Moody is like nervously waiting for Harry and he literally walks past Igor and Igor's like, it's like, what are we doing? Please stop.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it is. So Dumbledore agrees with Severus. I don't know why. And then he puts a memory in the pensieve. Fine. Ron is very, were you going to say something about?
Do you like, I remember watching this movie the first time and liking that they like come, how it visually looks. I thought that was cool. And then watching it this time, I was like, I don't know if it's as cool as I thought it was.
I thought it was fine.
A little too weird.
Oh,
maybe it's just because like CGI since 2005 has gotten better. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm great. I should grade on a curve.
But no, I know what you mean. I think maybe I like that it kind of makes me feel, it like gives me just enough of the ick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That I'm like, but he is pulling a thought out of his head. So I don't know if that would, it shouldn't be like, whew, it's like you're performing a magical procedure basically. Yeah. So Harry is back in the common room and Ron is very upset with Harry. And Harry is very upset that he has to compete and that Ron is acting this way.
Being a dick.
So it's just a mess. Ron like tells him to piss off before he goes to bed. I was like, oh, yeah, they've never really had like a fight like this. I was like, oh, sad. And then the next scene is them talking to Rita Skeeter. Like,
best performance in this movie goes to Rita Skeeter, period. The end. I will not be hearing arguments.
It's Miranda Richardson, right?
Miranda Richardson, a slay and a half. She's so funny in this.
I like know her mainly from the Black Adder. She's great on that show.
Yes.
She plays Queen Elizabeth. She's a great hilarious actress. Yeah, she's great. She was also in Phantom of the Opera as Meg's mom. Madame Giry. I can't remember her name. So yeah, Rita shows up. This was the moment where I made the note that Cedric Diggory's jawline should be illegal. I was like, how does he look like this? Like, I was just like, okay, you need to calm down. Cedric, you need to calm down. But like, don't. But like, what are we doing?
It's crazy. I mean, like, I will say just the four of them in general, even Daniel, I know he's still young at this point and he has the like hair, but if you were to like, ignore the hair, he's like a very handsome young man. Like they're all very attractive people. I was I would feel so bad about myself if I went to school with these people.
I know. I think Daniel talked about that actually with this movie particularly. He was like, oh, it was so annoying because it was like they brought in all of these people at the worst time where like everyone's like hormones are running rampant and then like they're bringing in people that are purposefully really hot. So he was like, there's just like so much happening. Like he was like, that movie was just, he was commenting on how intense it was. And I was like, I can only imagine. I cannot imagine. I'm a fully grown woman and I'm looking at Cedric Diggory's jawline. I cannot imagine being like a 14-year-old and like Robert Pattinson's there. I would be like, oh, like, oh. So I don't know how he looks like that. He looks so good. And then Rita basically takes Harry off into the broom cupboard, and then there's this line of you should feel right at home then because they're in a broom cupboard. And I understand why they like to add the line, but I just need to be a little bit nitpicky. How would she know that?
No one knows this information.
No. So sorry.
Yeah. I think it's like this is a screenwriter issue.
Yes.
Bad line, but like her delivery of it is so
I know.
fucking funny.
She is perfect as Rita. Was she the first choice?
I don't know. She had to have been.
She's just so good.
Perfect. That costume they give her with that like horrible green is so good. Yeah. Like those glasses. It's just like it's so on point.
Adam, do you know who they wanted to play Rita Skeeter first?
Oh no, who?
It's just, I love her. It's not, she's a wonderful actress, but I just don't see her as Rita Skeeter at all. Rosamund Pike.
Oh, weird.
Isn't that weird?
That's super weird. She's so much younger too.
Rosamund reportedly signed on to play the sneaky journalist in Goblet of Fire, but dropped out after hearing that the role was only a small part and that she'd have to return again in Order of the Phoenix. Instead, Miranda Richardson took on the role and brought Rita to life on screen.
Is she even in Order of the Phoenix?
No, that's what I was just about to say. She doesn't show up in that at all.
No. Maybe they were planning on it, and then they just like were like, meh.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
glad.
Maybe
it's in a deleted scene that I'm going to see on Peacock.
yeah, maybe. Exactly. I mean, she is so perfect for that. So Miranda Richardson is so perfect for that role that, like, I just can't.
Rosamund Pike's also a great actress. I'm sure she would have done very well. It's just, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Apparently also the woman that plays Narcissa Malfoy, she had initially been cast as Bellatrix.
Oh, that's really surprising.
Yeah. And she had to pull out because she got pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then
Wow,
she passed
okay.
away.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, she's not with us anymore. So Harry is in the broom cupboard with Rita. She's asking him all these questions. She's so great. I mean, everything. The way she talks to the quill, the way the like cadence in her voice.
She's
when
also
she's
really
asking
good
Harry
at
these questions.
the quill's obviously all CGI.
Yeah, yeah.
But like she's so good at interacting with whatever they use to fill in the quill that I like fully believe that it's really there. Like it's just like she's so good. She's so good.
Yeah.
This scene is so funny.
Yeah. She's great. I also made a note here that Harry's hair is just looking real rough.
Yeah. It's also funny that her and Harry are like the same, like her and Daniel are like the same height in this scene. Because
they
Daniel's
are so close. They are so close in the scene too.
They're
like
so close.
Because a lot of times on film, you will be so on top of each other, but when you look at the shot, it doesn't look like you're too close to each other. But in this one, they actually do look like they're on top of each other.
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn. So Sirius has written back to Harry, but he used a different bird. By the way, we're in the owlery now. We have moved from the broom cupboard to the owlery because that's how quick this is going. Sirius sent back a different bird because Hedwig is too easy to spot, and they're apparently intercepting more owls after the KKK rally at the Triwizard Tournament. Or I'm sorry, no, at the Quidditch World Cup. So he asked Harry to meet him in the Gryffindor common room on Saturday at 1 a.m. Once again, very convenient that this common room would be empty at 1 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm like, bro. So Sirius is in the coal of the fire, which is very different than how they describe it. I think in the next film, the way that
he's in the flames.
Yeah, the next film they do it that way, where he's in the flames. I think I prefer in the flames, but I mean, this was fine.
I think it's
Gary
a cool
Oldman,
choice to make it the coals.
Yeah.
I really
just
don't
had
like
to do a
Sirius,
voiceover then.
I really hate that this is his only scene in this movie.
Yeah. I wish
this is one of the reasons that if you just watch the movies, in Order of the Phoenix, his death isn't as emotionally connected because you don't get more of their relationship.
Right. So Harry tells Sirius about his dream. Sirius is kind of just like, yeah, it's just a dream. But also, these things that are happening aren't coincidences. Igor Karkaroff is a Death Eater, or was a Death Eater, and you don't just stop being a Death Eater. Crouch, he's got a heart of stone, and he sent his own son to Azkaban. And he's trying to like tell, Harry all this stuff with the few minutes they have. And Harry's like, I'm not ready for this competition. And Sirius is like, well, you don't have a choice. You're just going to have to go through with it.
It is a binding magical contract.
Yes, the binding magical contract is not mentioned, but that's what we're all thinking. And then Ron comes downstairs. And so Harry's like, someone's coming. Sirius has to go. They have a little bickering moment, which this is different. In the book, it comes off that Ron genuinely is concerned about Harry, where in this they kind of pick at each other right away.
Yeah.
And then
I have a question. Does Gary Oldman not know how to whisper? And I just mean that the voice delivery in this scene is so strange that I was like, he's like,
Igor Karkaroff, he was a Death Eater.
Yeah, that hurts my throat.
I feel like that's louder than just whispering
yes,
or talking. I feel like it's louder than talking.
Just talk, bro.
Igor Karkaroff was a Death Eater.
You're shouting.
Yeah, it was weird. I did think that delivery was weird. And I also was like, they just had him do voiceover, right? There's no way they made him come. No, it's like a CG. They took photos of his face and then edited it.
Yeah, composited it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was busy. He's so busy.
Yeah, so busy with something else. I don't know. I don't know why he made that choice. So Harry, and and Ron have their little like bickery moment back and forth. Harry's very bummed that cut short his talk with Sirius. And then it's the next day. They're down by the lake, Harry and Neville. Interesting that Harry all of a sudden thinks that he can hang out with Neville and then tell Neville to not be excited about something. I'm sorry, Harry. I'm sorry. Don't you try to dim Neville's light to make yourself feel more comfortable? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. You don't need to even hang out with Neville, okay?
He didn't even ask, how are your parents, Neville?
Yeah.
To which Neville could have been like, oh, they're not.
Hey,
They're
Neville,
not
I
good.
noticed you were really sad the other day in Defense Against the Dark Arts. How are you feeling now? Are you feeling okay?
I noticed that the Cruciatus curse really affected you. Would you like to speak about it?
I saw you were triggered by that. Do you want to?
Yeah.
How are you
I want to
feeling
hold
today?
space for you.
God, like I just was like that. Maybe I was so. Were you mad? Right? I was so mad right away. He was like, Neville, you're doing it again. I was like,
I was mad that because in the book it's more that he like is just hanging out with Hermione alone.
Yeah,
and I was mad that because they need her to come in. They need her to come in with Ron for the scene to happen. So I was like, so then they were like, well, he's hanging out with nobody, so I guess he'll just hang out with Neville. And then I was like, Harry, you're such a fucking asshole. Go hang out with Hagrid.
So rude. I'm just like, poor Neville.
Poor Neville.
I mean, they gave him more of a. He has like more stuff in this film, which I liked, but I think
this
is
the most he has, isn't this?
Yeah.
Either this or Sorcerer still might have the most so far.
No. Yeah, so far, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I did not like that. I was like, you don't even hang out with him anyway. Like, you don't get to come over and then like tell him how he's supposed to act. It was rude. Anyways, I liked that Hermione called Ron Ronald when she came up. Ronald would like me to tell you the dean was told by Parvati that Hagrid was looking for you. I was like, great. Dean was told by Parvati that Hagrid was looking for him. And then the moment where he's like, well, you can tell Ron. And she's like, I'm not an owl. I was like.
With her whole hermussy, she said it.
Her hair swung around. I'm not an owl. I'm not an owl. Not an owl. It was like that.
Yeah.
And Ginny's there too. And I was like, thank God. Ginny and Hermione are friends. Like I was like, yeah, she needs a friend.
Bonnie Wright is in a lot of scenes in this movie.
Yeah, she is. She doesn't talk.
She has one of my
much,
favorite lines in this movie, actually.
Oh, she does. I can't wait.
I think she actually has one of the best delivered lines in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a very good compliment later.
Yeah.
Don't get used to it.
Don't get used to it. So then we jump immediately to Harry walking with Hagrid to see the dragons. Mm-hmm. It is just literally like
just crazy.
So, yeah, it's a lot. So Hagrid is walking with Harry. He is going to see Madame Maxime, so he's asked Harry to bring the cloak, just like in the book. But then they like meet, they're just like kind of meeting in the woods, like in the middle of the woods. So we hear Maxime's voice, and then Hagrid's like, oh, put the cloak on. And then like Harry just has to kind of like observe them like being like mushy gushy, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah. I did want to say though that Madame Maxime is like nothing like how she's described in the book. And I don't know if this was like they didn't want to make her like a fat woman, but I was like, but you wrote her as a fat woman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just must have this portrayal of Maxime in my head because now when I read the book, I think of her.
You think of her.
I really like that they like had a French actress play her.
Yeah,
I really like that. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, they're like right there. They better actually get French actors. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, they were committed to like making everybody in the movies English. So it would only make sense for them to like actually hire French people to play the French parts.
Yeah.
I can also see them not doing it too. So,
so then they're approaching the dragons. Madame Maxime sees them and then like asks if they can get closer, giving Harry and Hagrid a moment to kind of exchange some words. Hagrid, who loves dragons, makes a comment that the horntail is particularly intense. He's like, although that's a bad dragon. So then they kind of have this they have this exchange about that Ron has seen the dragons, and Harry's basically like, wow, well, he didn't tell me. And Hagrid kind of looks confused because I'm pretty sure he thinks Harry's there because Ron told him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like confused. That's what I took from it anyway. But then Harry's like, okay, well, now I know it's dragons. And then he goes back, and we don't see him go back.
Cut to the next day.
Cut to the next day. Cut to the next day. He's on the grounds. He approaches Cedric, but he has to get through all of these people wearing these support Cedric Diggory badges, which is mean. And then he goes to approach Cedric, and Cedric is like lounging with his friends, also like laughing at first about them like making fun of Harry.
I didn't know if it was I couldn't tell if they were like laughing at Harry or if they were just like talking and he walked. I couldn't tell what. I mean, it was probably that they were laughing at Harry, but I think it could be read ambiguously.
When he walks away from them, one of them like makes a comment, I think, about Harry, or either like against Harry, and Cedric kind of looks over his shoulder and like laughs. So I was like, okay, well, that's a little weird to me. Like, I know Cedric's annoyed. And I think he should be. Like, it's not Harry's fault, but I understand, because it's like, it's just frustrating if you're supposed to be the only Hogwarts champion. So it's not that I think that he's like being a dick here, but it was just weird because Harry tells Cedric about the dragons, and then Cedric's kind of like, oh, so the other people know? And Harry's like, yeah. And then Cedric's all of a sudden like, hey, I've asked my friends to not wear the badges. But I was like, you kind of were just being a little, a bit of a jerk just then, but fine. So I think in this moment, at least from what I took from that,
Cedric asking his friends not to wear the badges is like Nicki Minaj telling the Barbs to calm down. It's not going to happen.
It does though, at least in the book, when he like Cedric goes and is like, hey, no, like lay off it, like leave him alone. Then everyone's like, oh, okay. So I'm assuming that's what happens in this world, but I don't know. Everything is so different from the book in this movie. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So he says that he's told his friends or asked the friends not to wear the badges, and Harry's like, don't worry about it. And then just tries to walk away. Then he sees Ron and just like lasers. Why can't I say this? Lasers in on Ron and is like, hey, thanks for helping me. You didn't even try. You didn't even try to help me. And Ron's like, oh yeah. Like, it is very, isn't it like kind of out of nowhere? Like, he's just like, Harry's just like on a rampage. Like, he's just like taking out on Ron in this moment. And then Ron's like, okay, anything else? And Harry's like, yeah, stay away from me. And Ron's like, okay. He just like walks away. And then Malfoy does the Malfoy thing where he's just like, picking on Harry, already like just picking on him when he's already down. And he's just the worst. And then Harry just can't contain himself, and he retorts back to Malfoy. And he's just spitting facts. What did he say? Your dad was something and cruel, and you're just pathetic. So,
yeah, it was a little like it was like Goody Two Shoes tries to make a comeback.
I know, but I liked it.
I thought it was fine, but I was like, it could have been a little more clever. There needs a little bit of wit there, Harry, to make it really biting.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean,
your dad's cruel, and I think you're not very nice.
I mean, I kind of liked that it was. I feel like that is kind of how Harry would insult someone.
100%.
So I was like, yeah, sure, vanilla white bread. I was like,
yeah.
Yeah. But Harry retorts and Malfoy isn't having it. You know, Malfoy's a real big can dish it out but can't take it kind of person.
Yeah.
So he tries to curse Harry while his back is turned, and Moody is very upset about this, and he turns Malfoy into a ferret. To which Minerva walks up and is like, what's going on? And then she turns him back into a human, but not before the ferret that is Malfoy's pushed down Goyle's pants, right? Goyle's pants?
Yeah.
Or Crab's pants?
I think it was Goyle's.
Okay. And Minnie is like, is that a student? And he's like, yeah, it is. And then she's like, we never use transfiguration as a punishment. And he's like, oh, she's like, Dumbledore should have mentioned that, right? And he's like, he might have said that, yeah. And so she's like, well, you need to remember next time. And then Moody makes a face at her as she walks away and then he like commands Harry to come with him.
I want to say before we move on, this whole sequence when he like breaks up the fight and he turns him into a ferret.
Yeah.
He has his walking stick, he puts it down and then it just stands up the rest of the scene, like without him touching it. It's like a really cool, like nothing effect, but it's just like very fun.
No, they do. It seems like they made, his cane like stands up on its own. I think it did that in the class too, in Defense Against the Dark Arts. You could see it just like standing up in the background. So we get our first look into Moody's office, with all his like gadgets and stuff, and then the trunk is rattling. So he's like, oh, you wouldn't even believe me if I told you what was in there. And once again, I made the note: if you ever need to impersonate someone, you just impersonate a weirdo, because anything they say, you'll just be like, yeah. And then he's trying to help Harry with the first task because, like in the book, Harry like has no idea what he's gonna do. And Harry mentions flying. To which Moody's like, oh yeah, I've heard you're even you're real good at flying, actually. Harry's like, well, I can't bring my broom. And Moody reminds him that he can bring his wand. So we don't ever see him learn Accio. That's all.
He doesn't. He doesn't go to any other class besides that first Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Yes, that's it. We don't. No one does.
No one does. The school was canceled after first class.
So I'm sorry, but where is this arena? This is like in the Highlands of what they are, like fully off campus.
Every task is so far from Hogwarts.
I was, every single one. I was like,
when they go to we'll get to it later, but the second task is so far in the lake and they like spin the camera around to show how far they are from Hogwarts. And I was like, what are you talking about?
I know. I was like, absolutely not. What? That was like literally a 7-hour hike to get here. What are you doing?
Yeah, they're like halfway in the North Sea.
Yeah.
That's like where
I was
the
like,
task takes place. Is crazy.
So I would like to say, for the first task, thank God, Fleur is wearing pants.
Yes.
She is wearing pants.
Yeah.
As she should have been in the book.
Still hasn't had a line, but she is wearing pants. Doesn't get to talk, but at least she's wearing pants. That's a win for feminism everywhere.
God, like we'll take what we can get, but like no, but like at this point, I have to mention something positive about her. It's just I feel bad. I feel bad for this actress because
so bad.
Fleur really like if I was auditioning for this part, I would have been way more excited, and then I would have gotten the script and I would have been like, oh.
I also think because the later books hadn't come out yet. I think when this movie came out. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think she was like married. Yeah. I don't think they knew that she was going to like be an in-law.
Marry Bill.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think they would have done it probably
it's
a little bit.
It's just weird because they don't really have her talk in the other movies. She doesn't really talk
No.
in the other movie either. She's just like
No.
not. Yeah. I hate it. So I think probably like my favorite part of this movie is the bag of dragons. I just love it. I think it's just such a cool idea. I do wish that we could see each dragon. Oh wait, I guess I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. Hold on. Fleur is wearing pants in the, what would you call it? Like what would you call it? The champion's tent. The green room. Yes, exactly. The green room. The champion's tent. We're in the champion's tent. Hermione comes to check on Harry. And then Rita Skeeter butts her way in, which Crumb is not happy about. I wonder why. And he even says something about this tent is for champions and friends. And I was like, not even friends. It's just for champions. Yeah. Hermione shouldn't even be here. And then Albus is like,
first line.
Yes, I think you're right. So Dumbledore comes in and he's like, Miss Granger, what are you doing here? And she's like, Miss Granger. And she's like, I should probably go.
See, Michael Gambon needs more of that energy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was just about to say, this I like. This is nice. So my favorite part of this film, The Bag of Dragons. I wish we would have seen every dragon.
I have a problem with this moment. Not necessarily the bag itself. Barty pulls them into an order around him. And it's so confusing.
Oh, that's weird.
They're all standing around him, and then he moves the order that they're standing in so that he can do them. I think it's Fleur, then Crumb, then Cedric, then Harry is the order that it's probably the order that the goblet spits out is the order that they pull.
Oh, okay.
I just wish they had come up. They were already surrounding him in that order. Because I was distracted by the fact that he was pulling them around him.
Oh, I was
see.
Like, hey, yeah, that's
if
weird.
You know there's an order, just offer them in that order.
Why are you making them stand like that? Yeah.
I was so distracted by it. I was like, that's not how anyone would do this in real life. I was so annoyed. Anyway, that's all.
That is really weird though. And they definitely don't start with the order that they came out of the goblet because they start with Fleur first. So there literally is, it makes no sense why that's the order they have to be in.
Yeah.
So I love the Bag of Dragons. I wish we could have seen every one. And I would have given my mini dragon to Hagrid. Also, did you notice here that Maxime has blue highlights?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
They never show up again, Adam. It's just here. She just got some highlights done for the first task. She just was feeling it.
Yeah.
They never show up again. Sad we don't see the Chinese fireball. Sad we don't see the Swedish short snout. It's the same order, right? So we don't really see when Fleur and Crumb go, but we know Cedric goes first.
Cedric's first. And
Cedric goes first, and Harry is last.
But we don't know why Cedric goes first. Because in the book, they pick the order.
Yeah.
But that it's just arbitrary. Whatever, who cares? That's fine.
It doesn't, I don't know. So my next note is about Harry going into the dragon's den. And I just wrote, oh my God, Harry's getting the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
He is getting tossed around like a rag doll with this dragon. I was like, he is flying all over the place, Adam.
This is I will say, I get annoyed at this sequence because it's so, they cut so much of this plot in order to fit this, 15-minute dragon race sequence. On the other hand, it's so cinematic. In a movie where I don't know what it's based on,
sure,
this is a great sequence. It's fun. It gives you drama. It gives you energy, whatever. But Harry is going through it. Harry is.
I feel very differently about this. I think you're being very kind about this scene because I can't look past the fact that they removed the Weasleys coming in through the fireplace and they put this here instead. I can't let it go. I'm so mad about it.
Yeah.
Also, the biggest issue that I have and why I cannot be generous in the way that you are is this dragon is supposed to be a nesting mother. And you are telling me that this dragon just completely abandons her nest and her eggs for this tiny little human. And then she wreaks havoc all around the roof of Hogwarts. Filch was fixing that for years.
Hogwarts is destroyed after the first Like it's so roof? Comical where it's like, and it's never addressed. Like I almost wanted them to cut to an establishing shot, like how they used to have like Hedwig soaring in like the first movie. Or like in the third movie where it's the Weeping Willow, but or, not the Weeping Willow. Like it should have been Filch like patching the roof.
Yes, agreed.
Fixing the bridge.
We never see it again. I was like,
no.
I don't like this. And to be clear, I don't think I've never watched the film this quickly after I've read the book. So this is the most aware of all of the things in the book that I have ever been, and like most aware of what all they took out. And it just I could not look past that with this dragon scene. And also the dragon just dies in the end. Like, I was like, what are we doing? What was this? This was the big idea? Like, I just was like, why are we drawing out the dragon sequence? Like, I understand the dragon is cool. I still think it would have been cool to just have the task take place in the... It's so weird that he flies out away from the arena. And then the dragon just gets loose.
They still could have had like a long extended first task sequence if they'd like montaged the other three champions like getting the egg.
Give me that. I would love that. So
I do like that when they've like flown away, right? Like Harry, the dragon's chasing Harry. They cut back to the stands where everybody's just like waiting, and I was like, they think he's dead. They think Harry Potter died. Like they're like, wow. That was it.
Where the arena is too, Adam, half of those people can't see what's going on. It is like, it's round. So that means there's people that are literally just like, what's happening? He's over by the castle. The castle is literally miles away.
Miles.
They're literally just like, can you guys see anything? Oh, it's over back above us? I can't see. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what is happening? So I know it's like this huge iconic thing. They use it in the ride, the dragon sequence. Like, I know it's a big thing. I'm sure they were very excited about the dragon, but I feel like they were kind of blinded by the fact that like they didn't need all of that. It was you still could have included that dragon and it been a really cool, exciting first task without having them fly to the castle and like
destroy it.
Yes. And almost die. Like both of them almost die or the dragon die. First off, I'm sorry.
I think definitely dies.
But like, Adam, the dragon with wings just bumped into something and died. Like, what are we doing? I just am like, okay, hold on. Wait. So it ran into a thing and then just fell. Like, I'm like, this thing has wings. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't like it. I just don't think she would leave the nest. The whole thing is that they're mothers and they're guarding the egg. That's the whole task, is they have to get the egg
not
from
in this
the mother.
Movie. They just have to get an egg.
I guess.
They're decidedly not mothers in this movie. That is a male dragon, honey.
Yeah. So anyway, that's enough about the dragon. Harry is successful. Just in the end.
So long. The worst part of the sequence is when he like the broom is stuck.
I know.
Like, that's
whole
the one
thing.
that I'm like, this is so dumb. I hate this.
It's just it climbing on the castle. I'm sorry, that dragon would just fly at you and breathe fire on you. It would not be climbing the castle to get to you.
What? Why is it climbing? It's a dragon.
It just doesn't make sense. I don't like it. There's too many things about it that I'm like, I don't understand why this is happening. Yeah. So Harry is victorious. He survives. The dragon just falls down into a pit and dies, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. He gets the egg. And he's transported back to the Gryffindor common room where they're all cheering him on. And then he opens the egg, and it is the cry of the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
And then Ron comes in, and he's like, "Oh, that was crazy. What was that?" And then everyone's like, "Oh, awkward," because like they're fighting right now. So Fred and George are like, "Let's all give them some space. This is awkward enough." Mm-hmm. I don't like this.
I don't either.
I don't like this.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
The movie the book, it was so sweet. And it was like they were both like ready, like Ron was ready to take responsibility for what he did, but then Harry was like, he doesn't even want to make him have to say it out loud. Like it's just. And I loved that so much more. So I don't like this. But I do like that Hermione goes, "Boys." Because I was like, yeah, they're stupid.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No, because I was like, it's such like a, how do I end the scene?
Oh,
the girl character will say, it's like sitcom energy. And I was like, for what?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just know that King feeling. Of Queens? Is that what we're watching right now?
Yeah. I do know that feeling though, where you're just like observing. Mm-hmm. It's like when two dudes are like kind of saying bye to each other. Have you ever seen like when they're like, yeah, see you, man. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. It's so good to see you, bro. Yeah. Just say I love you. Like, it's just one of those things where you're like, you're so stupid. Like, say I love you. Oh, I'm so glad Michael's not like that. So like, can't show affection. Like the all right, see you later. Like that. The like half hug. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so then we flash cut to all the girls are crushing on Harry. Harry is crushing on Cho. This is right before they're going to learn about the Yule Ball that's approaching.
I don't know if I agree with your assessment that all the girls are crushing on Harry.
Well, okay, it was Padma and Parvati.
Oh, yeah,
they're the two. Padma and Parvati are like, "Hi, Harry." So that's who I'm referring to. So these two girls are crushing on Harry. They're establishing that they're interested. And then Harry is interested in Cho, and he like spits his juice up. And they're like, "Hee." But Cho's like, "Oh, shush." Like, it's so cute. I like the girl that plays Cho a lot. What is her name? Katie Loon?
Cho a lot. Yes.
Yeah. Katie.
Lynn.
Rita has published an article now saying that Hermione has moved on from Harry to Victor. What is this? I didn't need this at all. This almost like ruins the reveal of her being at the date with Crumb.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying, Adam?
Yeah.
This was not necessary at all.
Also, like,
what?
They don't do okay. I love Miranda Richardson in this role. I think it's very funny. They don't do the whole Rita Skeeter plotline, so I'm almost like they don't even do it to the point of like it's not even about how the media can be like sway public opinion. That doesn't even like there's really none of they just wanted the kooky scene where she like talks to Harry. And that's like all she does in this movie. She comes back, I think, at every is she just in the first task? Oh yeah, she's in the flashback too.
She's in the flashback. I don't know if she's at the other tasks though. You're right.
I don't know if she's at the second and third.
She's in the flashback and that's it.
Oh, she might be. No, she's at the third task. They show her in the stands.
Oh, she is? Oh, okay.
I don't think she's at the second
even
task.
I didn't even know. So Rita
But they don't
has
do anything with the
published-
plot line, is what I'm saying.
No, it
Like,
doesn't
why-
matter. There's no reason to bring this up now. It makes no sense. It just like
Right.
lets us know that Hermione and Crabbe are an item, but the way Hermione's addressing it, it sounds like it's fake. Like it was so weird to me. I was like, why is this coming up now?
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about this, Adam? They added a character called Nigel instead of
fuck
Colin
off.
or Dennis.
Where is Colin, my boy Colin? Where's Colin?
Why did they do this?
I'm not here for Colin Creevy erasure, okay?
Why did they do this?
I don't know.
Why didn't they just ask Colin Creevy to come back or recast Colin? Like, if that was the issue.
No clue.
It was just weird. I was like, huh?
I literally wrote, who the fuck is Nigel?
Yeah.
Cute kid. Great kid.
Yeah, very cute.
Who the
Not
fuck
his
is
fault.
Nigel?
It was just weird.
Yeah.
So while they're in the Great Hall, Ron's dress robes arrive and he's like, oh, there must be some mistake. These must be for Ginny.
Yeah.
And Ginny's like, I'm not wearing that. That's ghastly.
This is my favorite line reading Bonnie Wright will ever do. This is one of my favorites in this movie. I'm not wearing that. It's ghastly. It's so funny. The word ghastly is so British.
Yeah, it is.
Americans do not say it. It's not a word in our vernacular whatsoever.
Well, because we would say ghastly, and that sounds terrible.
That sounds awful.
So yeah, Ginny's like, I'm not wearing those. And then we transition, another flash cut to the Yule Ball being announced, and Minerva demonstrates by dancing with Ron. Also, Harry's arm is in a sling. What happened to Skelegro? What are we doing?
Girl.
But even in the book, his arm isn't in a sling. He didn't need to be wearing a sling. Huh?
Madame Pomfrey heals Harry in the tent.
Yeah, in the tent.
That's where him and Ron make up.
Yes. So this was weird. But then when all the boys are like anti-dance, Neville is very into it. And I made a note of, you go, Neville. Yeah, you be that best dancer.
The phonograph is so comically large.
That was another moment with Filch. Where he's like
another great moment with Filch.
And she like starts talking over him because he's just being he's like oblivious that she's waiting for him to start. That was great.
Yeah.
So now that they know the Yule Ball is happening, Harry is very stressed having to find a date.
Can I go back 1 second?
Yeah.
In the scene with where they're like gonna learn how to dance. Ron has a line where he makes fun of Eloise Midgen across the room. And I, didn't need it. B, I didn't need you to have like cast a like.
I know.
A girl, just like this girl has done nothing wrong.
I know.
This makes Ron seem like a full asshole, which he's not. Like he's not a perfect character, but like this is so unnecessary, and
I know. I
was so annoyed. And then it's just like treated as just like, haha, isn't it funny because she is fuck ugly? And I was like, no, don't do this.
I know.
I'm so mad. There's no like, nobody is like, Ron. I guess his comeuppance is that he has to dance with McGonagall, but like,
yeah, right. Okay. No, but there's not an actual punishment or like, he's not held accountable to that in any way. Yeah, that was weird. I had that same thought that I always have thoughts like that. If there's a comment like that about a character, like I'm like, you just cast someone to say that line about? That's so mean.
Yeah, it's so mean.
I don't like that.
This is where when we go into now they have to ask someone on a date. This is where we see in the extended version, you see 3 Durmstrang boys walk up to 3 Hogwarts girls, and they're like, huh. Will you go to the dance with me? And they go, yes. And then they go, and then like walk away. And I was like,
wait, I need to find this scene. Wow.
It's very strange.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Go look up that scene, anxious millennials. Hagrid and Maxine are really hitting it off. They have like little scenes with them like chatting. But I'm sorry, what did she eat out of his beard?
No.
What was that?
Boo. I don't know, but I hated it. I was like, no.
I know.
No.
I was like, what was that?
That is the one thing in the book, Maxime reads like she is like fancy.
Yes, she is.
And I did not like, and I think this movie mostly does that because they dress her really like she's supposed to be like big and tall couture, basically.
Yeah.
So like that's fine. And she has like a little mod haircut. So like that's all fine. But this moment, I was like, no, I don't.
know.
I don't think so. And they don't really, it's not about the giant thing either. Like if it was like, then they're going to actually bring up the whole giant situation, but they don't. So I was like, this actually doesn't, what are we doing? I was so annoyed. Ugh.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, I don't know. It was just very weird to me. And I did not need it at all. It was so unnecessary. But then here, Adam, here's your favorite part. After this little scene with Hagrid and Maxime, Crumb comes walking past, doing his stretches, whatever he's doing by the lake.
But
he's doing his calisthenics.
So
and I did actually I thought Emma Watson was very good in this moment. How she was like, Harry and Ron are just kind of like not aware, but she's like,
I think that also, I believe every scene in this movie that Crumb really likes Hermione.
Yeah.
I think he like really thinks she's pretty.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's very sweet. And there's at the very end, he blows her a kiss when he leaves, which I've never noticed before.
That might be added. When he hands her the letter?
Yeah. He like starts to walk away and like blows her a kiss. And I was like, I'm going to pass out. This is so sweet.
So another flash cut to the Great Hall, where they're it's like study hour, I guess.
Yeah, what the fuck was this? Sorry,
I don't know.
I got annoyed.
Fred and George were like, hey, you gotta get on it and ask someone before all the good ones are gone. And then Ron's like, well, who have you asked? And then I think it's George. George and Angelina go together, I believe. George just straight up asks Angelina on the spot. And she says yes. I know, she's beautiful.
Oh my God.
And she says
like,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then Ron in that moment thinks it's a perfect time to ask Hermione. And Hermione reveals that she's actually already been asked by someone else, and she said yes.
Yeah. I need you to know that we're probably an hour into this movie, and Snape is in this scene, and he does this like a very iconic bit where he keeps like bugging Ron and Harry,
making them study.
Yeah, and he's had one line in this movie so far.
Yeah, he barely talks. Yeah.
He might as well not be in the, I mean, it's crazy the way he's not utilized in this film.
Yeah, not at all. So yeah, this bit with Harry, Ron, and Snape is great. This next scene that I'm going to talk about is actually probably my favorite camera work of the whole film. And it's when Harry runs into Cho in the owlery and that they actually filmed it. So it looks like they're running into each other. I thought that was brilliant. It was great. So then Harry attempts to ask Cho, but unfortunately she's already going with someone else. It's not revealed who, right? Does he ask her?
Correct. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't ask. Know. And then right after that, we're back in the Gryffindor common room, and Ron is coming in, pale as snow, pale as a ghost,
pale as Edward
Cullen. Scissorhands. Oh, pale as Edward Cullen. He comes in just like completely like chalk white because he asked Fleur to the ball, and this is my favorite Ginny line. because Ginny says he sort of screamed at her. It was actually a bit scary, I think is what she says.
Yeah.
It was like, I was pretty frightening or something. But I love that. I just love the idea of him being like, wanna go to the ball? Yelling.
You know what I didn't like? The line, you know I like it when they walk.
I know. I like saw that. I heard the line and I just was like, I was just annoyed. I wasn't even going to say anything. But yeah, it's stupid. It's just stupid. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
I don't like it. They didn't need to have that in at all. I'm just reminded of the butt shot and I fuck off. It's just creepy. There's like all of those, anyone that was filming that had to have been like an adult male DP.
Yep.
And all the producers were men. So no. So as Ron is kind of sharing what happened, Parvati and Padma walk past, who are apparently both in Gryffindor.
Okay. These two women playing Parvati and Padma are not even related.
No.
You're telling me they couldn't have found two Indian twin girls or like sisters?
I know, yeah, like somehow related.
I was so mad. I know,
they are supposed to be identical.
Twins. That's the whole point. They're like the antithesis of Fred and George, who are identical twins stuck in the same house because they're the same person. Parvati and Padma are like identical twins, but they're not the same person. They're like two different people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was very annoyed. It's fine.
It's weird that I don't like that they're both in Gryffindor either. I don't like it.
I care less about that, but I was annoyed that they are not even. They were just like,
No, they definitely.
They're both brown. I was like, oh my God.
They definitely should have been identical twins for sure.
Yeah.
So here we are. The Yule Ball has arrived. Ron is very stressed about his dress robes.
The swan is coming, Ari.
The swan is coming. I don't even know how much I'm going to talk about the swan, to be honest.
We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot in the book. I'll just say what I wanted to say in terms of the whole Mike Newell of it all, now that I know more of the behind the scenes of what was going on. So Harry has asked Parvati, and then Padma's going to go with Ron, I guess, because he asked if that was okay. I don't know. Ron didn't ask anyone, basically. Harry asked for Ron. So they're there. They're getting ready to go down to the ball. They're like coming down the stairs, and then they see Padma and Parvati, and Padma's like, oh, hey, Ron.
Yeah.
She's like, I think she said, don't you look dashing, is maybe what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't really want to go off with each other, but they do. Padma and Ron.
Yeah.
And then Harry and Parvati are waiting there. And then Harry is looking at Cho, who looks gorgeous.
That dress is so pretty.
I know. I was like, she looks so good.
I kind of really liked that they went with like an Asian inspired like cut with the like what's that collar?
I would have no idea.
I don't remember what it's called, but I really liked the dress. It's very pretty.
Yeah, I thought she looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
They are the it couple, her and Cedric, for sure. I was like, oh, they look so good. So for sure. So Harry's looking at Cho, and Parvati says, oh, she looks beautiful about someone else, Hermione. But Harry, who's looking at Cho, is like, yeah, she does. And then he turns around, and then now we have the ugly duckling, which she wasn't. She was never ugly, to be clear. But it doesn't matter.
I think it's worse. I think it's worse in the book, because the book makes such a big point of being like, the boys didn't even know that Hermione could look like this. Whereas like in this, it's more just like they're kind of like surprised that she got so dolled up. But the bigger shock is just that she's with Crumb.
Sure. I think The main thing is what?
No, about Mike Newell.
The main thing is that now that I know how Mike Newell was talking to her during all of the blocking for this, like saying, no, you can't be swinging your arms like that, and you can't do this and you can't do that. It just really makes me cringe because I'm just like, there's this like old adult cis white man that is trying to tell this young, impressionable 14-year-old girl how she's supposed to look beautiful coming down these stairs. It's very uncomfortable. Like this is why I'm really grateful that there are things like intimacy coaches now for this kind of stuff, or just someone that could help like direct this a bit better, like be a liaison between the actor and the director. Cause I mean, that one shot where we saw him talking to her in like the Harry Potter reunion, I just was like, oh, big red flag moment. Like that poor girl. And she looked fine in the shot, whatever shot they chose.
Yeah.
She looked great. I think any person would feel put on the spot. Any 14-year-old girl would be would feel put on the spot having to do something like that, which is pretty much what Emma talked about, that she was like, oh, I just like hated it. It's just, I was actively uncomfortable, just like did not enjoy filming that part. And I personally will never let it go that they didn't just make her dress blue, because it was blue in the book. And I just wish they would have left it blue. I was so sad when I saw that she was going to be wearing a pink dress. I was just like, no, please just make same dress, just make it blue.
Make it pink. Make it blue.
Make it pink, make it blue. The champions come into the Great Hall in order. I think it's like Fleur and what's his name? Roger Davies,
Roger Davies.
He doesn't really get introduced. Cedric and No,
you're
Hermione
right. He doesn't get introduced.
Oh, okay. Fleur and Roger Davies, then Cedric and Fleur, and then Hermione and Crumb, and Harry and Parvati, I believe. I think that's right.
Yep.
And I love that Parvati is like full on. Hi. I was like, she has such a mood. I love it.
Huge me energy. Very what I would be doing.
Hi. I mean, honestly, probably the same. Especially if I was walking with Cedric Diggory's ass, I would be like, hello, yes, I am here. Look who I'm here with.
Look at us together.
We are a couple, honey. He is kissing me tonight. Random Hufflepuff girl, that's the last kiss you're ever going to get, okay?
You are the random Hufflepuff girl.
Or I am her.
Remember, you felt that was you in the movie.
Oh, that was me. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I mean, Fleur looks beautiful too. Like, I really liked her dress, but I just could not. Every time I saw Cho, I was like, oh, she looks so good.
You know.
I'm sorry, just talking about like Yule Ball fashion, I think they could have found a better dress for Ginny. I understand she doesn't have to have like the best quality of a dress, but I was like, that is like something like a 10-year-old would wear.
Yeah.
It was too young for me. I think as far as the Yule Ball, like overall, I don't have too many complaints. They really wanted to make it like a rock concert, which fine. That didn't like bother me. I was like, oh, that's not how I pictured it, but okay. Yeah. What I don't like about this sequence is that Harry does a little bit of ganging up on Crumb with Ron. When he's like, I don't think it was the books that had him going to the library. I was like, I didn't need Harry to say that.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Especially because after Hermione comes over and starts talking to them, then he looks all confused when Ron's like being kind of an asshole.
I feel so bad for Padma.
Oh, I know.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
if I was her, I literally for the rest of my life would have like hated
Would never
Ron
talk to
Weasley.
him.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Oh,
Yeah.
I'd be so mad.
In the text that they use for like this, I feel like the fight with her and Ron is like pretty much word for word, or the exchange is very close. Maybe not word for word, but very close. But then Ron did say something when they were leaving the Great Hall that I did agree with. And he said that Crumb was too old for her. And I do agree with that. So yes, I do think it's 17. A little weird. It's a little weird. Well, he's like 17 turning 18, isn't he? Or maybe not. If you're a 7th year. Oh, maybe that's not as bad then.
I mean, he's definitely 17 because he had to be in order to.
Yes. And she is definitely 14. I mean, it is a little weird. It is a little weird. It's just like a senior being interested in a freshman. It's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like junior, freshman, fine, fair enough. But like, I don't know. Just that age, those ages specifically, that you're like the first one coming in and then the last one leaving. But I guess at Hogwarts, it starts even younger than that. So
the only thing I feel like is like, and this is just because it's Hermione, she's so emotionally mature.
Yeah.
That it's not like I don't know. I know what you mean though.
Yeah. I think had they been in college or something, it would be fine. It's just because it's like high school age that I'm like, oh my gosh, that is. Speaking as someone that dated someone that was 2 years younger than me in high school, like I wish I hadn't. It's just there's you're on 2 different pages.
Yeah,
and I did the same thing, but you were young. You were the younger one. I was the older one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or I guess I dated someone that was 2 years older than me.
Aren't you older than Michael too?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Like, I'm older than Michael now, but I think because we are both
MILF
in
energy over here from Ari.
because we're both in our 20s, it feels different. It's different, but like in high school, it's just that's such a I don't know.
Ari, you're not in your 20s anymore. I hate to tell you.
I'm not.
I hate
30.
to tell you.
Big 3-0. No, I have like no qualms about being 30. I very much feel like I'm 30. Do you feel that way? That you're 30?
I feel 30. I don't feel like I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I feel 30.
I just feel like Harry needs to tell Ron about himself. I think if you're actually a good friend.
But boys never do that.
I know, but they should. Because you got to look at your friend and be like, and you're friends with. The problem is Harry's friends with both people. So if your friends are being shitty to each other, that's when you need to step in and be like, you're being shitty. If your friend is being shitty and you know they're actually being shitty, but it's to someone you're not friends with, I would be like later. You don't have a
responsibility.
You don't have as much responsibility. I'd probably still be like, so what was that? What happened? What's going on there?
But if it's if it's 2 mutual friends, no, I would agree with that. I think your observation as the friend, like, especially because it would be coming from a place of love, if you're genuinely invested in these 2 people's friendship, I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, hey, you need to tone it down. I think you should tone it down a little bit. That was a little mean.
Yeah.
But boys don't do that with boys, Adam.
It's true.
Boys will be boys. Boys don't hold other boys accountable.
Yeah, just locker room talk. Because it's locker room talk. They'll
go and they'll talk to the girl privately and be like, yeah, that was fucked up. But they won't ever actually go back to the guy and be like, hey, that was fucked up that you did that. It's like, God, why is that so hard? Just do that.
Before we go on to the next scene, I just have to say, this is where the deleted scene is of Karkaroff and Severus, like,
oh yes,
going in and trying to find students kissing in carriages, and they're like having a conversation about the what's her name, the dark mark
tattoo.
And so it's like really it's not anything, but it's just crazy that they got rid of a scene where Alan Rickman gets to speak.
Yeah, and like honestly, I kind of would like that scene with Igor in because you just get to understand him a little bit more. You get more of him. I would happily take that scene, and then you guys can remove all the scenes of him going.
Yes, just all the pantomime work that he did.
Yes, I was just like, I don't need that. Yeah. But the Yule Ball ends in a big blowout between Hermione and Ron. I did like, I did think Daniel Radcliffe had a very good acting moment when Hermione like snaps at him, and he like kind of just like looks past her to look at Ron, like what the fuck what did you do? Like he's like, what did you do to piss her off? Like I just love that moment. Cause she's like, where have you been? Never mind, off to bed, both of you. And he's just like,
yeah.
I was like, yes, Dan. He's just a good actor. Even all of them, even when it's like on an off day for them, they're all still really good.
Yeah. I will say, having been to many high school student dances.
Yeah.
Many of them end in tears for people.
Oh yeah, there's always some type of like drama that happens.
There's always drama.
I mean, that's really it for the Yule Ball, so we could take a break here.
That's it. Next week we'll be discussing the rest of the film. And then we're going to be on a little breakity break. Part 2. And then we're going to be on a little breakity break till the 5th book. And there will be more to come when we decide on a date that it's coming back. TBD. But Ari's moving to England, so listen. We got to fit that in the schedule. And then Ari and I have to figure out when we're going to record these because it's going to be a little bit weird.
It will be a little bit weird. We'll have to figure out how to do that.
But
probably on
a
weekend. A weekend day.
A weekend.
Probably.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at HP Anxious, Instagram at HP Anxious, YouTube and TikTok at the Ampliverse. Please leave us a review. I'm not going to hold my breath, but please leave us a review. Give us 4 stars. Give us 4 stars. Give us 4 stars. Give us 5 stars because we deserve it. God damn it. And make sure we get those newts. Gotta get those newts. I'm clearly not reading the script, if you can't tell. That's it for me and Ari. Ari, thank you as always.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. Knock.